I'll call the meeting to order, and the first thing on the agenda is administrative. I will say there will be one adjustment, and that is Jesse Bruner won't be here today. He got called out. They sent him someplace to fill in some EMT stuff, someplace else where they were short. So he'll be out of the area for a couple days, which was unexpected. So, Tina, you're first.
Okay. Let's see. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty here, so let's see if I can get that resolved. There it is. Okay, I have the minutes of October 19th and October 22nd.
Okay, so on the minutes of October the 19th, do I have a motion to approve them as written?
Make a motion to approve the October 19th minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of October the 19th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the minutes of October the 22nd, same thing, and we've got a motion to accept them as written
Make a motion to accept the
Got a
minutes of
motion.
October 22nd.
by Randy. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. My pen was a little cold at first.
Okay, in your packet, you did have some information from Isaac about the trailer park rent. That's just for your reference. And
How do you know how he goes about collecting the ones that were in arrears?
they're not in arrears. They're just they're
They're
on
not due yet for their
for their schedule.
block of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't think that. I mean, he's never said
Oh.
anything about having any issues with people paying. So.
Yeah, I guess it just says another 12,000 outstanding.
Right. Right. We had, you had asked us to contact another caterer and, for the Christmas party, and she, called back and said that she is not available. So we're back to, basically Keith's Foods or Taco Truck. So,
So what's your desire? Randy, have any idea which one you would be in favor of?
Eats Foods or the taco truck?
yeah.
Choice.
I'm always willing to try something. Anything, anyone wants to try something new?
Are they close to the same in price? I can't remember.
They were higher.
The taco truck's a little bit higher, but includes, it's like a buffet and the, oh gosh, I haven't looked at this for a bit. We used Keith's last year, so that was one thing too, that we kind of rotate that around, if we can, but, let's see.
So
Let
then
me
the
find
top-
the information, don't you asked a question, I don't have it written out. Okay, so there were several menus provided, for the taco truck. There's one that is, $13 a person, including a chips and salsa bar, the buffet, and then a churro, which is a dessert. So that one, there is a $10 menu that includes a drink, but it doesn't have the chips and salsa bar or the desserts. And then they have, if you guys wanted a more traditional kind of menu, they could do that, and it's $13. It's higher. And then Keith's Foods. At I think his was $9.50 without desserts.
Without?
Yeah. But then the past few years, we have done pies and cupcakes and so forth from the bakery here. And so we haven't had the dessert from the catering. But if we did if they did do the taco truck, I would recommend going with the one where they just provide everything, including the dessert, and just go and not do the other. So I'm sure that it was $9.50. I don't have it
Do
here.
you have a preference on
Sorry.
that, Kent?
Well, I mean, if you figure what you're gonna spend, the taco truck, if you get the 13 with the dessert, or we got the $9.50 or $9.75, and then go buy the dessert,
Yeah, it's a
probably gonna be a toss-up.
Yeah, it's about the same. And like I said, in the past, we paid, in 2017, we did Keith's Foods for the meal, and the bakery we did the desserts through the bakery. In 2016, we had through Scott Catering, and that was $16 per person, and then we also did the bakery on top of that. And in 2015, it was $14 for the barbecue that we did, and we did the bakery on top of that. So it's actually right in the range of, and even less than what we've done on some other years. So
Well, you guys can just decide what's your preference. I have.
Well,
Good.
I guess I'd like to welcome the new people back. I know they're coming, but at least they say they're coming back. We've had Keith last year, and I guess if they don't make, Keith would be in the running next year, because we had him last year.
yep, we ask them every year. So
Yeah, I guess I'd make a motion to go with taco truck. Nobody else has any problem. At either one of the menus, I don't care. Might
Got a
as-
motion by Randy to go with the taco truck. Do I have a second?
Also,
Second by Kent. All in favor, say aye.
alright,
okay. Brad made some changes to the document for the MCC EDC, and I think he emailed them to you. And I just got him, but basically he took out the paragraph about the political activity, just completely took it out. He added a paragraph stating that it's a one-year term for the agreement, and it's ending on December 31st, 2019, and we can extend annually, therefore, it extends unless we terminate by October 1st. So that way we're not just indefinitely doing it, it's just by year. And then, yeah, I think that was the only thing he changed.
Will he be here today?
He is not planning to be here unless we need him, so.
I don't see that I got that email, because I
That
didn't
was
even
it.
see
It
it.
was this morning.
8:36 or something like that this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's obviously why I didn't get it then.
Okay,
Okay.
I can copy these if you'd like a copy of them, a paper copy.
Well-
And then you guys had approved the agreement pending staff review, and so as long as you don't have any problems with those changes that he's made, you
I
had
was-
said that you were gonna sign today, so.
I was going to ask him, I learned something else this weekend. I think that we should include in that each person that handles the money should be bonded. We should require them to be bonded. I think that would be wise based on the history that we've had, and bonding is nothing really.
Our, county employees are bonded under our K-Camp insurance automatically.
Okay, but that doesn't include the people, because some of the people that are on the board that are consigned are not our employees. Is, Seibel, he won't be one of our employees.
Well, no, he's a volunteer
Right.
of the board.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a copy of these for you.
I still don't see that I got that email in this morning. I didn't get it, you must have missed me on that, unless my phone email isn't showing everything up.
Well, that would have been sent to your county email. Because that's the official email that we need to use for those things.
So that's why I've not seen it. So, I would like to talk to him about that, but,
And if you guys don't want to sign it today, that's fine. I mean, whatever do you want to do?
well, I'm just concerned with past, what we have dealing with, when you have a board that has no oversight. I just think we should have a bonding. Doesn't cost people much at all. It's just kind of a little security for the county tax dollars.
But you said that you.
That doesn't apply to this agreement, though. Just so you know, it's a separate issue, because if you're asking for that board to be bonded, or the treasurer, or whoever is handling the funds for that, they're not part of this agreement. This is just for people that they're employing and that we're paying, and the county to act as the pay master, so.
So what you're asking for is that the treasurer, MCC,
That would probably need to be in the
Be bonded.
bylaws.
I'm thinking that, and I don't know how, because I don't get their information. I don't know who all handles the money. I heard Mr. Beneke at one point in time say that there was 2 signatures required, but I don't know who they are. I mean, the people have changed,
That's
and
what
I
I've heard,
don't know.
2 people sign.
I don't know who it is, and it does change periodically. So I wasn't going to just say that. I just said anybody that handles the money is responsible for the money. To have them, and I don't know if he could put that in this one or not. I'd like at least to ask him.
Sure.
And if that's not possible, then it's not possible.
And that's fine. If for the purposes of this agreement, if they're, if the people that are covered by this agreement are under our county handbook, then I believe it is, I can double check what it says in there, but that would be under our KCAM. So,
Okay. Yeah, so I'd like to at least check it. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. If you guys are happy signing it today, then you can go ahead and sign it. I'm gonna hold off until I get to talk to Brad, just to be sure.
I guess another week's not gonna make or break.
And I can even email him, or if he's not gonna be here today, text him later and have the answer on payday, which we can't address it then, but it's whatever.
okay.
So what you're saying is that there probably wouldn't need to be a clause in there about
Not in,
bonding
I
on
wouldn't think
this
it would
agreement.
go in this agreement. I think you could certainly suggest that go in the bylaws.
But they have the opportunity to change their bylaws at their own will and time. I'm trying to make it actually where it would be a county requirement in handling tax claims.
That might need to be a separate agreement then.
And I know he had talked about other agreements too. I just don't want to I just personally don't want to sign something and say, well, we should have put it in there or something. Or we could have included it in there. Because I know even some of the other things that he was going to make separate, the disclaimer, he was going to originally put that in a separate contract, but then chose to put it in this one.
So, the secretary is supposed to be the secretary treasurer, is that correct, the way I'm reading it?
Right now,
Of that committee, the secretary treasurer?
I don't know. See, I don't know how they have it set up. But I know right now they have,
What Tina said though is if the secretary and treasurer was that one person, I'm just thinking of the lady right now, if she's our employee.
She's not the treasurer of the board.
Okay,
No, I
No,
think,
okay,
I don't believe she's handling.
okay.
I don't know who the treasurer is right now.
there was Mike, and I don't know who's in his place. And that's, I think her title is assistant director or something,
Administrative director,
something
yeah.
to that effect.
Okay, so shall we just table it?
Well,
Please.
yeah, yes. Maybe we could send him an email, this morning, just
And he might be available for a phone call later in the day,
Mhm.
so. Um, The only other thing that really I had on my list to discuss was EMS director. I know you all had done some interviews, you authorized an offer to be made, so I guess, I don't know if you wanna discuss that as a board, or if you're ready to take some sort of official, hiring action. So,
So,
and we can do that either now during administrative, or if there's another time that works.
this is fine with me, if it's okay with the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yes, Randy did make the motion, the board made the motion for the chairman to go ahead and make an offer. I made that offer, and that offer was to Dave Owens. He has accepted the offer. His start date, because the county that he works in now, does have a 30-day policy for all department heads, notice they have to give. So, he was thinking initially that it was 3 weeks, but going back and actually reading the and the, CEO of the hospital is holding him to the 30 days. So his official start date will be the 26th of November. And, I am prepared to go ahead and make a motion to accept, or to hire, Dave Owens as the Marion County EMS director. What?
When we made that offer, we made a flat salary offer. It wasn't a range or anything like that.
No, we made a flat, salary offer of $75,000 a year. So there's a motion on the table, do I have a second?
Oh, I didn't hear. You made the motion?
I did.
Okay, yes,
I'm
second.
sorry,
Yeah.
okay. Second by Randy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And then a little follow-up with,
Sure.
ambulance department. Our current interim director called me and asked yesterday to pass this on to the board, and he's not gonna be making it today. But on the 4th and the 17th of November, Peabody will be without an ambulance service altogether. And he asked if I would ask the board to see if they would allow him to put a part-time person down there for an 8-hour shift.
I have no
Why
problem with
wouldn't
that.
we?
Huh?
Why wouldn't we? I
Well,
mean,
because there's been some problems about putting full-time people down there, and so, and this would be one of the part-time people that would be, so,
well, we need coverage.
so that's what he would like to do, but he would want to make sure it was okay with the board, and I said I would pass this on to the board and see if this would be okay.
And I did talk to him too about it, and so, and I have no issue with it at all. I mean,
Okay.
I'm with Kent, why wouldn't we, in
Okay.
this circumstance, I mean, we've got that coverage, so,
Okay?
yep.
I will pass back and tell him to do the best that he possibly could for those 2 days.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, anything else, Tina? No?
I would just like to make one statement regarding EMS. We did make this offer to Mr. Owens at a certain salary, and I would expect down the road that we would look for areas that we could, I mean, from what we were looking at salary-wise, that was the high range, that we would be looking for efficiencies to cover that additional expense.
I would expect that from the new director. Okay, is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, so, Tina, I'm sorry, you said you had nothing else?
Nothing else.
So next on the agenda then is Jesse, transport and area fuel bids. Jesse,
Come on, Jesse.
How are you all?
good, how are you?
Okay.
Jesse's got a little bit of southern in him.
Yeah.
That's the, transport is the first.
Have no more than 2?
That's all I have.
Okay.
So it's pretty clear. On the top sheet, we have Cooperative Grain and Supply in Hillsborough for a total of the transport and fuel bids of $22,691. I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Second by Randy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So be it.
Area fuel bids.
All same too, huh? Okay, so on this particular one, it's also pretty clear that we have, again, Cooperative Grain Supply for first area of $36,003.60, is that an eight?
3,600.
I'm sorry, $3,603.68. Or 60, if that's the balloon.
Yeah.
For the first area, and then on the second area, I would go then with, also on second area, I will go with, Cooperative Grain, also at $5,175.30. Actually, all three of them, $13,837.20 go to Cooperative Grain Supply.
Second.
Second by Randy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Wow, that's good, they got three of them that time, they were not even real close. Okay. Anything else, Jesse?
Yes. You could pass these along. The third item on that packet I just gave you, on the third page, what I have here is two agreements that would need to be signed if we agree with this. From KDOT, it is a local road safety plan. Back, if you look at the high-risk rural roads 2016 through 2018, it's your back piece of paper, stapled group of papers. And on that third page, there's, back in 2015, we must have applied for this HRRR, high-risk rural roads, application, and looks like we were awarded that. And this was signed on June 8th, 2015 by the commission then. What they are asking, it looks like they did their test runs with McPherson County and Stafford County. They are moving now into some more counties which we are included in. So here are the agreements that need to be signed if we want to continue going through this. This is a 90-10 type cost share, 90 on them, 10% on us. There is, for all counties, maximum contribution towards the 10% of total actual cost of the contract amount for the study will be $5,043.93. So it sounds like the max would not go over that. And what this local road safety plan is they go through our county, survey it, and go over several miles in our county, spread out, and look for signage, curbing that may need to be straightened out, anything that they think is hazardous or needs to be reamped. They start creating a safety plan for us, is what's going on. John and Tanner, do you guys know any more info on this local road safety plan?
I can go a little bit in there. So the consultant, KDOT's hiring a consultant, and we're actually going to be part of the team and sub to Transit Systems. They'll drive there's deficient signing, or if there's sharp curves where you've had an accident history, side obstructions, trees at corner intersections, or crops that impede the sight of traffic coming to an intersection, fixed objects within the right-of-way, if there's trees or mailboxes, things of that somebody left the road could hit, within a certain proximity to the road. They'll put together a plan for the county saying, here's some issues that you might want to address, and they'll provide like a top 10 list. And then this will set the county up for future federal funding through the specific high-risk road category. Does not obligate the county to do any of these items necessarily, but KDOT is pushing every county in the state to get a plan developed. In the future, KDOT has said, in order to utilize these funds, you will have to have a plan if the county would want to use that particular funding set.
So if you have a plan set into the future, so this would help us out in the future, correct? As far as if we were to reach out for federal funding, and that they see that this county has a plan set.
Right, for the high-risk road funding, like the off-system bridge, that won't affect any of the other federal funds, but that particular high-risk roads, you're looking at like, if you have edge drop-offs on some of your paved roads, or you want to put shoulder rock-downs, or pavement markings, you can get federal aid to do these types of projects. It'd be done by a contractor. KDOT does require them to bid out to a contractor, but you can get 80-20 funds to do those types of projects. Have you done any projects previously, Jesse, with the high-risk roads?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
We did. It was
130th and Nighthawk.
yes, the curves over on Nighthawk. That was through this program.
Okay.
We have.
Okay. So in the future, and I couldn't say when, KDOT hasn't said, here's the cutoff date, but since this is the first round, they're planning on getting 20 counties done this first year in 2019, and KDOT's hoping to get all 105 counties done in 5 years. And so sometime in the next, I'd say 2 to 5 years, KDOT's going to say, if you want these funds, you'll have to have a plan in place.
Is that this one in here with the orange roads on?
I would assume that's probably
Yes,
that best route.
that's it, right?
And how do we develop that plan? How would we get that plan? How detailed is that plan, and who would make that plan? And
The plan is going to be made by a consultant hired by KDOT, so
Okay.
really all the county has to do is sign the funding agreement, and then KDOT will take it from there.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because we've already
Okay.
received, been approved for the grant funding to cover all up to 5,000 of costs.
Well, as we learned, it takes a while. We signed this 3 years ago, and here it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it took so long for KDOT,
Yeah.
because they were soliciting counties to sign up for the plans, but it's taken a few years. And 2 of those years they did, there was actually 4 counties they worked with to do a pilot program to develop the first plans. So now that they've gotten through that, they have basically a template set up for the plans.
Right.
And so their intention is they'll get 20 done a year for the next 5 years. And it's not, that the counties still have to volunteer to sign up for it. They're not forcing the counties to do it. So I think KDOT hopes all 105 counties do it, but they don't know until they get there.
It's funny how they never force counties to do things that they pay you money. But then when they do the unfunded mandates, they force you to join up on them.
So the world goes, I guess.
Does anybody have any other considerations here? So far, I think it's still a plus for us.
Well, it sounds good
Yeah.
to me so far. I mean, why not?
Yeah. I remember talking about it quite a bit, but I don't remember, it just sort of vanished and went away. Well, someday we'll hear it. Yeah, here it is.
Has Brad had a chance to look at this at all?
Yes, he did. I
Right.
called him this morning and he was able to review it, and he's okay with this agreement here that you see.
I see, okay. Well, I certainly have absolutely no reason why we should not proceed.
Okay.
Anybody have any objections to?
I don't,
Can you go ahead and do a motion and vote to approve the agreement and sign it, please? And I have a copy here too, so. Of the agreement, the official agreement, yeah.
Okay,
how many copies we want? 2,
2 of
3?
them.
2? You got 2 there? I got 2 here.
Oh, you have the original.
Mine's
Oh,
down there, not there.
Oh, hi, John.
I make a motion to go ahead and continue with the local road safety program designed for Marion County. At maximum cost of $5,000 something.
5,093.
Also,
Got a motion by Randy to sign the agreement, second by Kent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We shall sign the agreement.
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
This contract that they signed is with KDOT,
Oh,
and so,
that's one of them.
yeah, I don't have that. That would be something we'd have to get from these folks.
I thank you for letting us know that there was an issue down here. I even had a text from an employee that was down there too, Jesse, with a citizen. And I just like to make the statement that go ahead, if we have an unruly citizen come in that will not calm down, that we just go ahead. We've got these safety alerts, and I believe I'd like for them to use them. If there's a person that continues to get, I don't know if call crazy, but upset, let's put it that way. And I just appreciate that you handled it with the best of calmness that you possibly could, and I'd like to say thank you for doing that, but don't be scared to just turn around and say, let's push the button, let's let somebody know that we can, if that's all right with the commission, because I think we need to have someone in uniform over here in case it escalates.
yeah, that's the exact statement I made to Jesse when I talked to him the other
Okay.
day.
Okay, does anybody else have anything for Jesse?
No.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda then is Kirk and Michael.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Tanner and I are here. We have some handouts here for you all.
Can I get you to sit back?
Oh, sure.
Got it.
Sit in the hot
Everybody
seat.
loves that seat. I think you would too.
Yeah. I think so. I'm just used to sitting up in the front, that's all right.
Head of the class.
That's all right. So what I've handed here to you all through our workings here in the county this summer, there's been some discussion that we provide county engineering services on an on-call basis where we're actually contracted as a county engineer for, right now, Kirk and Michael's providing the service for 8 different counties. Tanner does 2, I do 1, and we have other engineers in our office that do the other 5. And we were asked to come up today and just kind of explain what we do, and we kind of expressed there may be some interest there for Marion County. So this is actually an agreement that we made it up for Marion County, but this is the same one we've got with the other 8 counties, so it's the exact same setup. And in there, if the county's interested, we've listed Tanner would be proposed as the county engineer person, and I'm gonna basically just let him go from there and to describe how he operates with Clark and Lincoln County, where he's county engineer right now.
Yeah, so you get, pretty much you get Kirk and Michael, so, we've got guys that kind of specialize in different things. So I do a lot of county engineering, a lot of wind farm stuff, and we have other guys who do signage. So you pretty much get the whole company. So if there's times where, I may not know something, I can fall back on those guys. So I do Lincoln County, and Clark County. And what I do, I come down one time a month, usually on a commission meeting day. So you show up, go to the commission meeting, usually sit through that. So we're usually sitting there with the road and bridge superintendent. If you guys have any issues around the county or have had some complaints, and you let me know. I note them, and then attend the commission meeting. And after that, we'd go out and drive around the county and go look at some of these complaints. Jesse would have anything as far as roads or bridge or something, we'd go look at that, and then we could offer up some recommendations on kind of what to do. So yeah, so that's pretty much your guys' day. Whatever you guys want to look at or issues looked at or anything like that, you let us know, and then we go look at them and then recommend some fixes or whatever like that. So like Lincoln County, I go to the commission meeting and I usually give them an update on some of the projects around the county after we get some come in the queue and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there anything else, John, that you do? Because I know John does Ford County.
Well, on the front page there, in the second paragraph, we basically charge a fixed fee for the 1 day a month visit. In the middle of that paragraph, starting in 2019, our monthly fees going to be $875 plus mileage to pay for the reimburse for that cost of the vehicle coming out here and back. The mileage we charge at the current federal IRS rate, which right now is 54 cents. So in Marion County's case, that would be about 190 miles from Ellsworth, so $102.60. So the total monthly cost would be $977.60. And with our other counties, we've set up so that each year to account for inflation and salary increases and things, the monthly fee would go up $25 each year. And so if we were to start this, say, now or in 2019, that $875 would stay the same through the end of 2019, and then at 2020 it would go up to $900 plus mileage. Just want to point that out. So take that times 12, you got $12,000 for the year, roughly, give or take. And this, like Tanner said, that's for the 1 day, and then if there's specific things that have to be done outside of that day, like say Jesse's wanting to replace a drainage structure, needs permits from the state and from the Corps of Engineers, and we need to do hydraulics, we would do that thing as additional charges by the hour, typically for small efforts. And if there's bigger specific projects, a lot of the counties we do their annual or routine bridge inspections. We do maybe the bridge design projects, inspectional projects, road designs. We would usually have a specific contract for those bigger projects with set rate or by the hour if it's inspection services. So this is really just for the monthly 1 day visit service.
So if something comes down the road and it says county engineer on there, for you to put your John Henry on there is gonna cost us some more money.
Not just to sign something,
Okay.
but if it takes some kind of analysis or design, yes, it would. But if it's just a signature page, no, there's no extra cost for that. At Ford County, for instance, they have me, their policy is that the county engineers to review and approve all plats. Most of my reviews don't take but 10 minutes, so I don't charge them anything extra for something like that. And that also gives, a sounding board for the road and bridge department if they have some questions about like the local road safety plans. So Jesse could call us up, and if it's a 5 or 10 minute conversation, that's part of the monthly fee. If there's no extra charges there. And like Tanner said, that we've got a whole department of engineers and inspection people, whatnot, that have expertise in different areas. Some people may be in bridge design, some may be more in environmental services or drainage, airports, water, sewer, and all sorts of different things that the county might get involved in. We're very involved with KDOT, so we know a lot of what programs are going on with KDOT, as well as some things coming down from the federal level. We're very active with the Kansas County Highway Association, KAC, different organizations like that. So we stay in tune with a lot of things going on at the upper level of the government that may trickle down and impact the county level. So last count, we currently are working with 41 different counties across the state of Kansas, as well as a lot of municipalities, and more than a dozen municipalities. So we have a very broad reach on county issues. And like I said, with dealing on a monthly basis with 8 different counties, we're very in tune with what's going on with county issues.
So you mentioned Ford and Lincoln County. I think you work with Ford.
I work with Ford
Okay.
County. We're also doing Haskell County, Gray, Meade, Ness, and Hodgman, and Clark.
Okay. I know several people in those counties, and I would like to have the opportunity to call some of them and talk to them and see your
Oh, sure.
brand of what you do and how it works out for them.
And we just brought this so you can see what the agreement is that
Oh, I
we
see.
present. We're not necessarily asking you to sign it
Okay.
today.
Okay.
Just so you can read it and study it, and certainly call
Mhm.
anybody that you'd like, and we can provide some specific references in the counties if you like. Whether it be the Ford County has an administrator, or the commissioners,
Yeah.
any specific names and phone numbers, we can certainly provide that as well.
And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking here, I think our need for an engineer goes a little bit more than one day a month. But I'm just thinking out of the box, I'd like to get some information from other counties and stuff and see.
Sure.
That's right. Okay, Randy, what's your thoughts?
Well,
Randy, or you?
Oh, Randy, go ahead. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, it's been mentioned several times of an engineer. We have provided service with Kirkham Michaels, Cook Platt and Sprobel, EBH, and so how do you feel if we continue to do service with other engineers beside you folks?
So that's certainly your choice.
I mean, I
It's
just,
just, this doesn't, prohibit you from doing that.
right, that's the way it's been done. I'm not saying that's the way it has to be in the future, but,
I would say in a lot of cases, I think it provides some efficiencies to utilize one firm for most everything, but there's certainly times where you might feel like somebody else has different expertise, or, we have no trouble competing. That's part of life, is competing for things, and that's how the county wants to operate. Now, personally, I discourage doing bid selection for services, but certainly competition on qualifications is preferable.
Ken? Ken, do you have anything to add?
So as part of this service, you're talking about coming out and making recommendations. As part of that service, would that include any follow-up after you make a recommendation and we implement a fix? You would do an inspection on it and say, yeah, it meets our specs, or you guys did it wrong.
That would, yeah. So,
Because, I don't wanna just see recommendations and then we do something, and then a year later you drive by the same area and say, well, I thought we was gonna do it this way.
And I don't wanna just see recommendations and have nothing done, just have
Yeah.
a ball drop because we got a recommendation.
That's why the follow-up part seems as important as the first step.
yeah, so like in Lincoln County, we'll do, there's one structure that it was a timber structure and had a bunch of broke stringers. So the county had some tankers. I ran some hydraulics and said, yeah, put in 2 tankers, that should suffice. And then, the county put in the 2 tankers, and then the second time, so 2 months after that, on one of my meetings, I was like, hey, let's go look at those tankers. I wanna see what you guys did.
Yeah.
So then we followed up and looked at it, and, yeah, so then, I got the county's input, and then I provided some input, so they didn't have any, or flexible delineators, like, you forgot to put your flexible delineators.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot that. So
Yeah,
they went up and they put them up.
it just seems like, the logical thing is that we'd have to have some follow-up, because
Yeah.
sooner or later you're gonna find something and say, yeah, this is not quite the way we,
That's certainly true, and that's part of being here on a monthly basis,
Right.
is that we'll
Yeah.
be able to provide that follow-up. And, sometimes there's instances I've run into where maybe a private citizen says, well, the road and bridge department said they're gonna do this, but I don't think they really have the right idea, and then we can either work with the road and bridge to make an adjustment, or also back them up and say, no, we feel like from an engineering standpoint, what they're proposing does make sense and will work in the long run. And so we can work together. Now, normally in the 8 counties we're working with now, we don't possess a lot of authority to make decisions or to give clear direction. That still comes from the commissioners, and then working with road and bridge. We're not actually employees of the county, but if the county, that's kind of up to the county how that wants to work. But we're not here to do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, especially personnel-related things, or, where to send motor grader operators here and there for road maintenance type stuff. It's more specific
Right.
locality type things. I don't know that you want to afford having somebody here daily, certainly, but I'm trying to keep it cost effective, but effective also in implementation. If it would require, or in your opinion, require more than once a month, at least for a period of time, we're certainly open to that as well.
And would the price be, prorated, or would it just be multiplied by that number of days?
Probably the easiest thing would be just multiply times those number of days. We're pretty flexible. We can work something out.
Yes, sir.
Jesse,
Is,
do you have anything that you heard the presentation? Is there anything that's in your mind that you may want to question, whether it would be help you out on this right off the top of your head?
well, as far as, the nice thing that I see about it is the hydraulics, the permitting, when we run into those situations, that's a phone call away if they're there. Of course, I know there's those additional fees. It's just knowing that I have someone there to be able to start just punching that out right away, because those can be time consuming. And no matter what, I gotta go through an engineering service no matter what on stuff like that. I think the biggest key on this is finding out what you three really want out of engineering services before any decision is made. That's why I kind of asked them to come here, let them know what's available for counties, because I've been here and counties have been doing this. So there's some plus sides to it. I don't think they're here to just go tell us how to blade a road. If that's what you're looking for, then probably that's not what they're gonna implement. But when it comes to some of this engineering stuff, certification or permitting and stuff like that, they're definitely here for us. So,
But you also have expertise in road building, I would guess, that could be beneficial to road and bridge.
In road construction type of things, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not motor grader operators, so.
No, but I mean, you look around this county and we realize the problems we have with these secondary roads and no ditches and, you know, moving water off of roads and things like that. That would be part of this.
Building the proper crown, we, you know,
Right.
we go out with Jesse and check the crown of the road, or
Right.
if he's got
Yeah.
things to do, we can, you know, Tanner can go out by himself and check
And,
it.
you know, that's a
you know,
big
back and
concern
forth,
to us
say,
right
here's the
now,
crown
what we've been facing.
that you have, and here's what it needs to be, and so here's what we need to do to fix the situation. Do
But I
road
think in
assessments.
our situation, we would probably need somebody, when you're talking about ditches and crowns and things, I'm thinking we would need somebody on site a little bit more time than just a day. Because everybody that works in road and bridge, to include Jesse, has heard about crowns and ditches forever, and we're still not getting them. So it's gonna take a little bit more to actually get that in place than one day or suggestion, is my thought right offhand. From what I see and from what I'm hearing from the public, I just can't picture that one day would solve that problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and again, I'd like to get more information.
For something like that, I think we would utilize one of our technicians. That would be more affordable, certainly from an hourly standpoint, and they do road construction observation. If you're thinking would wanna have somebody out there, as they're building something, you know, it probably doesn't have to be from start to finish, but maybe for a week or two, and spot checking as they go along, as far as the cross-section of the ditch, and, you know, the survey level.
And where to put the actual culverts and things like that.
Right.
Placement, the drainage and so on. So how would we know what something like that would cost?
Well,
Or what services provided there when you talk about a technician?
Well, the cost would be, something like that, if they're gonna be there for a period of time, would be, we come up with an estimate based on the size of the project and what the duration of the time we estimate is gonna be.
So that would be project by project,
Correct.
project
Because
specific.
every project's different in the scope as well as the size, and so really to be fair to both sides, it'd be just like, you know, doing a bridge and you hire a consultant to do the inspection on a Federal Lake Bridge, it's by the hour. up to a maximum, and if the project gets done early, then that dollar amount just gets underran at that point in time. But they could be doing spot checks on, if the road's supposed to be built to a specific elevation, they could be spot checking elevations and the cross-section for the crown. If we did a drain analysis and came up with a plan for where drainage structures are supposed to be, they could be probably staking those locations as well as in checking to make sure they're put in the right place and that they're built to the proper slope. You know, obviously, if you want water to flow from one direction to the other, your pipe's got to be sloped in that direction. Double checking the elevations on the ends of the pipes to see that the drainage is correct, things like that.
You, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You alluded to the fact that on those kind of projects, you could utilize a technician rather than an engineer. And, you know, that would be a somewhat less charge
Oh, yeah.
for the use of a technician. And
Yeah.
could we find out what that would be?
That's
That
what
would
you
be on an
just,
hourly
you
basis?
just said it'd be per project.
Right, so on a specific project like that, we would put together a proposal for you and say, this is the hourly rate for the person that we're proposing to be out there. And based on these assumptions that we'll have them out there this many days, at this many hours per day, here's what the maximum cost might be if they're there that entire time. If the project gets done early or if things are going well, to where it's just like the guys got it, they don't need a person out there anymore, you know, if they're just building up a dirt road or a gravel road, and then we'll just underrun it at that point. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility involved in something like that.
So what is the average cost that a technician normally gets an hour? Just an average.
That's highly variable, because we have some that are relatively new and some that are senior level. I mean,
Because I'm-
$65 to $85 an hour typically is the billing rate.
Because I'm thinking in our particular county, we have thought, I could give you a list of projects that we would have to, and each one of its own. So in order to keep something going and keep the ball rolling to start playing catch-up, we would have to have, you know, inspections and then have bing, 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 these will be our projects, and actually have a schedule or a plan or whatever to go forward to fix these individual roads in time. And I would wonder just how we would do something. Let's suppose we have 25 roads, dirt, gravel, whatever. So if we were to lay that out, would you be able to give us basic cost on that? You'd probably have to look at the road, right? And then,
Yeah, I think what we would, if you don't have a drawn-up plan and just saying, we're gonna build up this road, or these roads for X number of miles, we would work with Jesse about, tell us what your anticipated schedule is, and we know that, you know, weather and stuff happens, or emergencies might come up, so that it's gonna change a little bit, but here's the anticipated schedule, here's how long our person's gonna be out there, anticipated duration of time, and we could develop a cost, a maximum cost based on that data. And we, our standard billing rates, we have it broke out by position, so, you know, senior technician versus technician versus entry-level technician are different rates. And so depending on the scope of the project, we may feel like some, you know, maybe an entry-level guy isn't suited for doing this particular project because it's more technical. So the rates may vary based on who's out there.
or maybe you have both on each project, sometimes just to have the seasoned person, you know, lay down what needs to be done and give the
Yeah.
initial person, the entry person or something like that, the experience of implementing it, and have the seasoned person come back and check and make sure that it's going right.
Certainly.
I mean, I'm just, that way our prices would vary and we would still get the benefit of
Yeah, certainly.
the experience and knowledge.
Cost effectiveness, yeah. And sometimes it's who do we have available too. Since we're kind of like attorneys and that we're a billable hour company, we have to keep our people busy as much as possible
Sure.
to keep profitable. So we don't usually have people just sitting around waiting for things to fall out of the sky. So
Yeah.
gotta find out who can be available for certain projects, and that affects.
So in order to get a cost, a basic cost, an idea of what a technician would cost from entry level to seasoned person, would we have to give you a road and let you go look at it, maybe just use that as a sample estimate, or how would we get going on that.
But we have a standard billing sheet if you want to just know their hourly rates, that we could provide that. But if you
Oh,
want to
okay.
know a total cost, I mean,
No,
we could, yeah, I mean, we have a standard billing rate. I don't think that's in here, is it, in this packet?
I don't think.
No, but we could send you a standard sheet. We produce that at the beginning of every year, with our standard billing rates for different job classifications as well as our mileage rate. You know, the IRS usually announces at the beginning of the year what the mileage rate's gonna be. Sometimes they'll adjust it mid-year, not very often.
But then again, if you have them here for a project for a week long, are they gonna have motel expense? That's gonna, I mean, that's.
Oh.
They would, yeah, they would have
that's
lodging and per diem.
So
see,
that's.
all that stuff I'd wanna know.
Yeah,
before
that's
we even-
what I'm saying, it all becomes part of a factor on how long you have them here and things like that.
We need to have a way to budget for it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I need to have some more
So,
information.
are your technicians, are they like degreed people, or are they just experienced road builders?
The technicians are, well, they're not, when you say road builder, I mean, they're not construction building people, they're inspectors of the road building. So the senior folks have been around and watched a lot of construction. Some of them have done construction themselves. Most of them are not degreed necessarily, like from a
Yeah.
college perspective. You know, our engineers, of course, are, that's a requirement to have a college degree in engineering. Some of them may have an associate's degree or something like that from the community college, but most of them have started in construction and gone into the inspection side later.
Well, even just an experienced road builder would be suitable for me. You know, if we had somebody that knew how to actually build a road and stuff like that would be
Right.
a great help. That'd be certainly what we would be starting for.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our experience is gonna be in highway type construction, concrete and asphalt more than it is in dirt and gravel roads.
I see.
But when it comes to profiles and crowns and drainage, a road is a road at that point.
Ditch is a ditch.
Here's the shape of it, build it to that shape. I mean,
Sometimes it gets a little more complex than that. If you drive around and see what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's no ditch.
I've driven a lot of Marion counties, I've seen a lot of, I've seen oil lines going through culverts and things like that in the county, several places.
Okay.
Diane.
Brian's probably seen a lot of it.
One thing I might add is almost all of our technicians hold KDOT certifications on very specific items for construction inspection. So it's not like we're not checked out to make sure we know what we're doing. KDOT, we have a schooling process we have to go through. We're certified, and we hold certifications in specific areas as well as general basic inspection, where we have to meet KDOT standards. So it's not like we're pulling people off the street and just saying, okay, go watch this road. I mean, we don't have degrees, but we do have certifications
No, and I'm
from the
fine with
state.
that,
understand.
even if you just had years of experience,
Right,
without the certification and just knew how to actually do it,
right.
is what I need.
Most of the field techs do have a great deal of experience with that.
Because that seems to be the key, is to have the experience and how to
Sure.
build it.
I'm trying to remember what the name of the program is through, it's not through KEC, it's the, LTAP.
LLC,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have the, you remember what that is, Jesse, the county highways training?
LTAP training courses.
Right, I mean, that's certainly a good place to send a lot of road and bridge guys if they haven't been through something like
And
that.
they have a lot of those coming up. I got a sheet on that. I obviously didn't bring it with me today, but they have a listing of all kinds of trainings coming up. And it's every year, I think.
Right, yeah, they do it every year.
All the time.
So
So-
that's something good to,
Mhm.
if you're hiring a lot of inexperienced people, for instance, that'd be something really to consider as well.
Mhm.
They go through a lot of that formal type, how to build a road type stuff.
So, and I was talking to a county commissioner here last week one day. They have an engineer in their county. And they said that one of the things that their engineer does for their county is when they hire a new hire on the roads, that engineer rides in that maintainer with that new hire for whatever it takes, a day, 2 days, a week, so that new operator knows the expectations. And this engineer trains him right on the spot how he wants the roads done. And there's no mistake, and he has uniformity. as to how the roads are done, because everybody gets trained by the same person, same expectations. And so their roads are pretty much consistent, and I thought, wow, that's pretty much what you would want, you know, instead of having everybody doing their own thing.
Well, sure, you
Yeah,
certainly want
and so-
consistency.
Yeah, and I thought that was, and they said that this is just a policy that this particular, engineer that they have in their county, it's one of the things that he does.
Now, is he a staff engineer? I mean, he's.
He works for the county,
employee,
yes,
right?
uh-huh, yes, so, anyway, just, I thought so. Well, I appreciate this, if anybody else has any questions, but I really appreciate this, I'd like to consider it, but I would like to call some of the other counties and just see.
Certainly so.
how
We
they-
we always expect that, yeah.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Well, we're happy to come back to it and talk again some.
Okay.
If you have more questions.
I have more questions, but on a different subject matter.
All right.
All right, so shall we shift to stage 2?
Probably so, huh?
We have plenty of time.
Somebody else will take the hot seat on the
Yeah.
stage
All right, is there somebody else here that, okay? It's like
I'll
John.
move over there.
John probably has an inkling of stage 2. So,
Coming up here, Ryan.
so John, the roads up in our, wind company, our wind project, has seemed to be a pretty hot topic too, the last couple weeks. And I understand the rain.
Mm-hmm.
I got it, it's raining. That's,
Rained a lot, yeah.
yeah, it has rained a lot. But you know, these are experienced companies, they work in rain, they work in sun, they work in everything, you know, so I don't really put too much credence on the rain as an excuse as to why the roads have been left to go the way they are. And I spent lots of hours driving all these roads. Of course, after the first 15 minutes, you see one, you see them all, you know, because they're tore up. Our rock roads, some of our really good rock, which I went this weekend on a couple of our rock, and I'll tell you right, limestone from 330th North was one of our most decent rock roads.
Mhm.
I mean, I would dispute a little bit of the crown and stuff, but still, it was a very nice rock road. Well, now, it's almost mud. So when our road grader goes in and grades it, he's not gonna be grading rock back up, he's gonna be, it's now almost a mud road. And it's not on the haul route. So is the wind company gonna come back in and fix our rock road even though it's not on the haul route? Or are we stuck with that bill? Is my question.
It's not on the whole route at all?
Yeah, so we actually evaluated all the roads within the project area and then kind of redefined the haul routes. So we do have before and after pictures of these routes. So we could potentially use that, and then could include it in our evaluation. I know, Brian, you're working with them on, they're gonna take some of the reclaim material,
Yes.
putting it on some of these.
When they pull out the radiuses, and some of the detour roads that they've used, they are using the rock and spreading it between 330th and 340th. I know on the west end of the project and some of them on the east end of the project to replace the rock that has been beaten down. They've already agreed to that. They've already started. They've done Alamo. I don't remember. Can't remember the guy's name, the farmer's name, but it's from 350 south a half a mile because he said he had rock there. Jesse said there was rock there. It wasn't like AB3 rock, so that when they pulled that out, they spread it and they compacted it back down on that road to return that road actually better than what it was before. They're also going to do that with Bison, Chisholm. There's a soft spot in Chisholm I noticed, and I talked with Jesse Smith and Jesse Hain both about that. They're going to put the rock in there to firm them back up, get them more solid again, back to the condition. They're going to be better than what they were before, I'm sure.
Is that the, I'm sorry, is that the roads that are not on the haul routes as well? Because these are the ones
Right,
I'm
they're
addressing.
not, they're not on the haul routes. It's from 330 to 340, which is not haul route. Almost none of those are haul routes. But I'm having them take this extra rock that they're pulling out, spreading it on these roads so that you guys have got a better rock base when they leave. And they're willing to pick it up, put it in the dump truck, dump it, spread it, and then they're putting a roller over the top of it to press it down in so it's good and solid. And they have agreed to this 100%.
So what about not just the reclaimed rock? What about just walking the roads that were rock that are not in the whole route? I have, and I understand, you know, these these pictures right here that I have, I sat here on Limestone and looked up at these pictures, I mean, the amount of traffic is staggering.
It is.
I sat there, I mean, it's just a train of great big semis hauling all this stuff.
Yeah, so what Tanner alluded to is that when we were negotiating RMA, and we told Tradewind that in our experience, roads other than the whole route get utilized a lot. And so that's why we did go ahead and document basically the entire footprint around the wind farm. And we'll go back and do the same thing post-construction and evaluate if there's an obvious degradation or disappearance of the rock. And Brian can confirm that it's been utilized by the wind farm. And we'll come back and we'll file that with the wind farm and say these roads have lost their rock and your traffic was using it, and you need to put rock back.
And what if they say no? And then the project's
It
over.
gets into a negotiation process.
Okay,
But-
so, I guess, I'm just, even on our road maintenance agreement, if I remember correct, they have to keep these roads in good maintained order during the project.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have one of our existing rock roads that the rock has now been pounded way down in, and it's almost non-existent there, we can't, I mean, like I said, we can grade it, and we will, but we're not gonna grade it back up to where it was. I think that even now, they should be putting rock on these roads, as we speak. Not just reclaimed rock, I think they should be hauling rock in and keeping these roads in a rock road condition.
Yeah, I don't know
That's what I'm
that they,
thinking.
well, I understand your position. You know, at this point, I think, they're about 30 days from basically being done with major construction. That's through the month of November, 1st of December. And so I can already hear that they're disagreeing with that, and that we would just pound it right back into the ground, and it probably wouldn't really, it'd provide benefit for a short period of time, but not very long. And it would probably provide a lot more benefit for the cost, especially if they waited until they were done.
And
They had to haul it.
and their mentality on this is, they went in and did cement treated base for,
On some roads.
on almost all the haul routes. I've got cement treated base, almost all, not all.
And you're talking haul routes, I'm not talking haul
Right,
routes.
I'm talking haul routes.
Okay,
So, well, just give me just a second, okay, Diane? They did the cement treated base, and then they rocked them and compressed the rock down, okay? Now they say, and this is their mentality, because I've talked to them about it, is even when it rains, you can drive any of those roads, it's a little soupy, about an inch and a half of soup on top. Not slippery, not dangerous, rock solid, you don't get many potholes. And I agree with them, it's true, but they're not gonna put rock back on it because their trucks are gonna go over it while they're hauling and just beat the rock out, and the roads are safe to drive. That is their contention with not adding rock right now.
That's
Now
not
afterwards, we're gonna have so much pickup traffic that they use going up and down between 330th going up to the project. You're gonna have a good shot at it, but like John was saying, it's gonna be one of those, hey, you guys use these roads like crazy, we don't have any rock left, you guys need to replace it because it was your traffic. You know, roads that used to see 10 trucks a day are now seeing 100, 150 trucks a day, that's on you guys. And it's gonna be a negotiation. I saw it in Cayman County, and the wind farm balked and finally I said, okay, what do you want? You know, but it's gonna take some, you're just gonna have to stick with it and say, you know, you guys toward rock, you guys pounded rock in, drove it into the ditches, whatever, it's gone and it was there and we've got proof. And that's why we do the pre-construction pictures and videos. We have proof that there was rock there before, and there ain't rock now, and it's their fault because of the increased traffic. So you got a real good foot to stand on when you go before them and say, you guys need to rock these roads.
you know, my problem with it is, and I realize what you said about Keenan County, every wind company is not created equal,
That's a fact.
that's a fact, and I'm learning that.
Well, I learned that real quick on this one.
Yep, I'm there too. So, having said that, at this point in time, based on my experience with them, I would not feel comfortable waiting and hoping that they're gonna do the right thing.
Right.
I think shame on us. So I'm saying, and I know you alluded to the road maintenance agreement and the haul routes, and I got it. I'm not complaining about any of those haul routes.
Okay.
I think the haul routes are awful, awesome. I'm talking about the roads that are not our haul routes, that they're using as though they were their haul routes.
Right.
And they're tearing them up. So what I'm hearing right now is, at the end of the project, a month or so down the road, then we're gonna do this and this and that. So in the meantime, then our taxpayers and residents have to suck it up? Is that where we're at? Because that's what I'm seeing.
That's, I don't know how to answer that without putting my foot
That's,
in
you've
my mouth.
already done, but I got it, because that's what we're seeing.
I understand. I totally understand.
And we're happy to approach them.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
I would be happier if you would,
Okay.
because this isn't acceptable in my book, and I don't know about the other commissioners, but what I'm seeing out here, and again, haul routes, that's a whole different story.
Right.
And I don't think that the county should have to bite the bullet on this, or put up with
I
this.
agree. Wholeheartedly.
Okay.
We're biting the bullet on haul
I'm
routes.
gonna talk to the two engineers, because they're the ones that
That's just a
say,
picture of the trucks that I see them sitting, I mean, that's how they are, it's a train. You might as well have put train tracks up, is what you should have done, and we'd have been better off.
I know. I was out there last week and some other issues that our blade men are seeing is these rounded corners. Evidently they're, the water now, we're getting so much water, that water's running down on our road sections and causing a lot of problems. And then also, areas where they did have permission to cross with a machine that's not on a haul route, like on Eagle last week. They took the electric lines down and crossed Eagle, and I don't know whether, I didn't stay there to see if they were flanking it or not, but you got a big dip in the road,
Yes.
which filled up with water. And I think we did get didn't we get a load out there last week, Jesse? If I remember.
We did not, we're getting it today, starting
It's
today.
okay. I mean, they caused a bunch of, they sunk the road, even though they had permission to cross there. What kind of responsibility do they have now, none?
Well, they have a responsibility to fix it. If the county's doing it, you should send that bill back to them for the expense.
But that's what I'm trying to say, is I don't even know if 290th east of Highway 77 has officially been turned back over to us. But I've dumped over $30,000 on that road on our own money, and the wind farm still will not help us in any kind of way on that road, and that was a haul route. I'm having problems with haul routes, and here we're wanting to jump on all these off-route roads when we can't even get money for a haul route road. And I've dumped big money, now I got people complaining about 290th again. I've done it 2 times this year, from Highway 77 all the way to Bluestem, dumping many loads out of that quarry out of Lincolnville, and I've gotten 0 cents.
So here's what I'm thinking we need to do.
And I have never seen anything official that road has been turned and released back to us for our maintenance. I know when we did the first $28,000, it was still their road, and we had that meeting with Rez and Anel, and I said, I need help with that road. I need you guys to pick up some of this bill. Never heard a word.
So what our recourse is, if I understand correctly, we probably need to have Rez or whoever's responsible for these roads come meet with us. Because I think we have an option to where if they don't do what we like them to do, we can shut them down.
That is an option.
And I'm to that point, because I don't think we should be putting up with this.
A couple of questions that I have. Well, number one,
And yes, to answer your question, yes, there are times we are going out there and fixing it. I know we're not supposed to, but what are these people supposed to do?
typically,
yeah.
on my experience on wind farms in Tennessee, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when it goes back to turning the roads back to the county, it's usually all or nothing. Usually once the project is done and accepted, they turn all the roads back at once. It's not a road by road basis, because they're probably gonna keep using them to some degree.
And if we all remember, when the wind farm project started, they were pulling out of Lincolnville Quarry and
Right.
using that crazy. And we're the ones that have put the rock on it.
In that case, and I don't know if you've been turning bills into,
No, I have
wind
not,
farm
but
at all?
I spoke out in the meeting saying, I need some help with this, and they
I
won't.
think you need to
Yep.
do an official bill and get it,
Yeah,
give it to them.
yeah, you need to
Yeah,
start,
I heard we
And
need
then,
to just build,
you need
yeah.
to tell them. They're not
Yeah.
gonna do anything without a bill. I mean,
They have to have
as a
documents.
company, I can't pay anything without a bill in my hand either, so you need to just put your bills together and say, here's what we've done, and you explain to them what you've done, here's the cost. And, I mean, we have an escrow account on this contract, right, with the new bond?
I think we have a
Yeah, for
letter
engineering.
of credit on it,
Well, I think it's for,
yeah. But I think at this point in time, we've come to this point, and I agree, sending the bill, got it. I think that's a good idea. But I do think too, as a commission, we should actually be firm with Red and say, because we're so close to the end.
Mhm.
And again, with this company, I'm hesitant. I would like to get with them and let them know where we stand, and start seeing, I'd like to start seeing reimbursements for what Jesse's talking about. I'd like to start seeing roads being properly maintained now.
I got some questions.
Go ahead.
What was the agreement before any trucks rolled over any of our roads? And workers, what was the agreement that it was supposed to stay off of our other roads that wasn't all roads, with like res and stuff like that? Or was we to turn them loose to go everywhere?
Anything that was a
1 ton or
pickup,
passenger
One
vehicle.
one ton, right,
1 ton or less.
1 ton pickup or less,
Okay.
without a trailer, can use side roads. I don't think when they made that agreement, they realized they was gonna have 300 trucks sitting in their laydown yard that was gonna go out every morning and use those side roads either. However, that was the agreement. A 1 ton truck or less with no trailer is allowed on. And I just sent a picture this morning of about a 2.5 ton truck that used a non-haul route, and that's what I do.
and that didn't address the smaller equipment, because I was on Bison last week and the backhoe passed me. Didn't pass me, but I passed the backhoe coming down Bison.
Right.
I guess I couldn't go slow enough to get past them.
And actually, I have heard from the beginning of this project, I have heard that there's gonna be hundreds and hundreds of trucks coming in. But we never realized, this is our first rodeo,
Right.
that they were gonna go on, I was under the impression for everything, I heard that it was all gonna be on the haul route, that's the point of the haul route.
well, that's why he's here, because we're not. We know that they weren't.
Right, okay, so now that we've learned it, but we've learned it to the point of crisis actually on our roads. So I mean, I don't mean to be a witch, but this is horrible.
So do we get any fine money
Fine money?
when we,
I think
any
that's
for
pretty good.
fines, when we catch somebody with more than a 1 ton pickup on one of these roads? I understand, what road was that the semi got stuck on last week that was a non,
Oh, I have a picture of it, but I can't tell you.
okay, they tore that road to bits, because they had to
Yes.
unload the truck, stuck the semi, unload the truck, stuck the piece of equipment that was on the back, and then had to come in with dozers.
And I don't see that they've installed the culverts either, they said they were going to. I mean, we got water pooling, we have water, this is the road, well, no, this is the road that something got stuck on,
Yeah,
right there. And so, I didn't label this, I took so many pictures, I don't know which road it is.
I can see the
that
picture
was
of my
But
two,
this
it was
is
290, it was 290th, wasn't it?
I'm thinking it was.
290th was the road they were stuck on.
But, and then like I say, they didn't install half the culverts when they interrupted right in the middle of the road. So here's our ditches coming down the road, our water is flowing, now they did an entrance road into there where they're gonna put a tower. No culvert. And so, and that's just what's remaining after the rain, the water was over the road,
Right,
and of course creating, you know,
I know.
everything.
And when they came in here, their mind was, oh, that, you know, we might get a half an inch to an inch of rain. They probably wasn't expecting 6 inches or.
I think we need to change
And
that.
that has nothing to do with what you guys are talking about. I understand that. I'm just trying to tell you what their mentality was. They put those in figuring half an inch rain, and an inch rain maybe at the most because it's Kansas. And then we get 6 inches of rain in a week, and their plans go right out the window.
So are these temporary entrances, or are they gonna go
Yes.
back later?
The radiuses are temporary, and they'll pull them back out. Underneath all the access roads, they do have pipes, because I watched them install probably 95% of them so far. I've watched them install them where they were needed to be, and I've also made them install a few where I said, this isn't gonna work because you guys didn't put a pipe in and it's gonna flow water. And so they put pipes in, but they didn't, their contention is, when they pull out the radius, the pipe's gonna be there, cause it's already underneath the access road. They just didn't extend it all the way out through the radius.
Oh.
So, and that's when he got a response, I think, I think he was copied on that, where he said
Yeah.
the pipe's plugged,
Yeah.
but it won't be when we pull the radius out. Well, it's poor,
They're probably
poor
all plugged.
practice, in my book, it's poor practice, but it's it's the way to do.
Cause they're probably all plugged now.
Man, I don't know, they're out there trying like crazy, I know that.
They're doing what?
Trying like crazy.
Trying like crazy to get caught back up.
Oh, to get drainage?
Yes. On a lot of, now the stuff where they've got the radiuses in, they're gonna, because like west of 15, they're getting ready to start reclaiming. And they would have been reclaimed probably all the way up to Diamond had it not been for that 6 inches of rain week before last. Because they'd already started reclaiming right before I went on vacation. They started reclaiming, but they had to stop because of the rain. So.
A person called me on 360th, south of 360th on Pawnee. And
Yes.
I was on fire.
I've got that dealt with.
Okay.
That was something that wasn't supposed to happen. The guys took a shortcut. I called the resident about it right away as soon as I got the phone call from the resident. And I also let Diane know that I had it taken care of. They are gonna blade the road, and it'll be this week. They're gonna get out there, blade the road, get the rock back up, and make it look a lot better, because I told them that was brand new rock that the county put down. And the county was pissed, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They were upset because they had to run this train of, and it wasn't anything real heavy, but it was pickups that had, equipment on trailers, went down, and then they had backhoes going down, and they had forks going down. And I told them, this is unacceptable, you guys can't do this. They gotta blade 360 from Old Mill to Pawnee, and Pawnee all the way down to their access road, which is, I think, 350, I think is where it comes off, right before 350. So, they are gonna do that, that's on my checklist to make sure that it gets done.
So on the roads that are not on the haul route, do we need to get together and talk to them? Do you think, I think
I think that would be the
I think
best thing
so.
to do.
I think it'd be good to have a
that,
meeting.
yeah? Agreed?
Yep.
I think we
King
should.
Hoover.
And Jesse, don't you still have that book of the pre-construction, pictures, road conditions? Alright, we need to bring that and make sure you guys have that and say, hey, this is what it was like before, you guys have
Is
been
it a
going over
big,
it too.
thick book that we
Yeah,
each have a copy, or?
There's like three,
we should just-
there's 3 books, there's 2 for the roads and 1 for structures. But you're gonna need both those books out, cause it'll have pictures of the pre-construction condition of all the roads north of 330 from, I think we went from Meridian or from Alamo all the way to,
Pretty much all the projects, or all the roads within the project area. So we can get you copies on that meeting.
I mean, is that gonna be a gazillion copies?
I can bring my book, or Jesse's got a book, they're all right there.
Yeah,
All
we
we
need to
gotta do
have-
is
we
look
need
up
to have proof.
specific ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to have, if it's that many pictures and stuff, I'd like to have it the day before the meeting so I can look at it.
I have them in my truck anytime you want.
Yeah, or we can, we can put it on a flash drive if you wanna look it on your computer.
Yeah, I'd like to be informed before we meet with them.
Okay.
So, and the sooner we can set it up, the better.
Okay?
Could I say something?
Hang on, Jesse, you had something you wanted to say.
If we have a landowner, has some 350th and Bison has a wide radius, turning radius there, built by the wind farm. I know that those are supposed to come out after the construction's over. He's asking if it can stay in at 350th and Bison. What do we do with these people calling in, requesting that we keep some of these in?
So then does that put more liability back on the county to maintain that?
And more signage.
See,
I'm not really for it, but he asked and
I realize that some of those, they are nice. And I understand, especially ones that have paddle pods and stuff. But,
Are they on the private property owner, to the county? So could they be a private drive?
oh, okay, would
Probably
that be a
shouldn't
different
be-
situation? Okay,
Shouldn't be,
discussing it. Okay, that might be true.
Is this an entrance to their property, Jesse? or
no,
is
this
a
is
Doesn't matter.
our intersection.
Roadway intersection?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
when they
oh, okay.
pass the right of way and they're on the property owner's owners will,
Yeah, that's what I
Isn't
was
he the
gonna-
guy that owns like a construction company or something, and he,
Dale Cope, I don't know who he is. I know he has some ground in our
okay. I
county.
know there's one
He
guy
was
that-
talking about our intersection, he just likes, why he likes it, I don't know, he just called and asked if he could just stay. And
So I can see where some of the people would like those,
The trailers.
but you know, we'd have to make sure that they had proper
Drainage.
drainage, culverts, everything else before we would wanna
Well,
release.
It's gonna be kind of.
Most likely,
private project.
the wind farm has a
For
temporary
another
easement
project,
on the
Yeah.
private property
I'm not
to
sure.
build that radius too, and to leave it, I think the
So
county
then there's
somehow
some
would
other
have to require
aspects
it.
to that,
additional right away.
if
That's
for
right.
us to leave it, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
then acquiring it as additional right of way.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right, never mind.
yeah, we don't wanna get into that
Hope
issue.
they hit
Yeah.
some.
I think that's a canoe,
Okay.
anyway. Wrong?
No, I think you're on the right track as far as, would you like to leave some for the, if it's out there, but I think just logistics of it says no. I mean, we'd like to, but yet,
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, so who will be setting up this meeting?
yeah, I will.
You will.
And this will be part of a commission meeting, right?
We could do whatever if it needs, because it might get pretty extensive. So do we want to do something special, or do we want
if
permission?
we have to get it done in a hurry.
Yeah, the
we
sooner the
got to.
better,
Yeah.
so whatever we need.
Can I say
And
something?
all the right people, okay?
Can I
Yes,
say something?
Yvonne, go ahead.
Okay. I have to disagree that the road is better than when it's wet. It is slick and slimy. And I'm Yvonne Cushenberry. I've
Oh,
talked
okay.
to you quite a few times
Talk to you.
about 340th north to those driveways. That is on the haul route,
Yes.
but nobody drives it on the haul route. And it's not been taken care of. It has potholes this deep,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it has big places where the waters ran down the road, the middle of the road.
The erosion was
It's
just not-
horrible,
And
and nobody's done anything. And I've called, and I've called, and I've texted, and it's not been fixed.
That's another thing we got.
It's in terrible shape.
Cause I keep talking to them and keep talking to them, they run a blade over it.
It doesn't
But they
help.
don't do what needs to be done
No,
to it. They
you can't
kinda
just fill 'em.
Run the blade down and kinda skim, and
Does
that's about
nothing.
all they do.
Yep.
And I've already talked to them about that, but they're not, I mean, I don't
Go-
know if it's blade off.
Go
or-
take some pictures, send them to me. We actually developed a road maintenance plan for all the haul routes,
Yes,
and they need to be following, techniques and methods in
Yeah.
accordance with the road gravel construction maintenance guide, told us what FHWA.
right.
Go take some pictures, send them to me, and then I'll issue.
If you
them.
come down there when you don't know it, you're in trouble. You know, if you
I
don't know
saw
those
that.
potholes are there, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But, and I do have a picture of that haul route thing, but quite frankly, mine is so small, you can't read it. I mean, you gotta
This
have
one?
the magnifying glass and all that stuff. So, to look at or,
You can have that.
Oh,
It's all the
okay.
highlighted routes or the
Okay.
blue and pink or all
As
that.
long as they're
okay.
supposed to have rocked and have up in shape at all times for this project.
Right, yep, and we developed the road maintenance plan under that.
so then I can go through, use this right here, and the roads that are not on this haul route that they tore up, I can
Yeah,
mark on that.
yeah, circle them, and you bring us to
Yeah.
the meeting and we'll, yeah.
Okay, yeah, as soon as you get a meeting,
Yep.
I'll be happy to see you all again.
Point out in case there's any question, just because the road isn't marked as a haul route, doesn't mean that it's not their responsibility if they're using it. Any road utilized by part of the project falls under the road maintenance agreement. Haul route or not, doesn't really matter. If they're using it, it's their responsibility.
And they asked to use it for the pickup, so they knew that they were gonna travel them a lot, so it's not, I don't think it'll be a surprise to them, or it shouldn't be a surprise to them when you say, hey.
And I think you're right, they knew.
Yeah.
They knew what they, but we didn't,
Right,
and that's the disconnect.
that's
But
the,
they knew what was gonna happen to the roads, and we didn't.
and they just kinda went, well, it's not the whole route.
That's right. Got it, okay.
Can,
Go ahead,
can we
Dave, I'm
make
sorry.
copies of that?
So they
Same
can
size?
just go down, they just plan on going down the mud roads no matter what, just mud or, just, is that
Boy,
what?
They
that's
don't
something,
stop.
that is
And
something
I understand
that
that, yeah.
If you see Chisholm, halfway between 340 and 350, I sat there and took a picture of a guy running through it in a res pickup truck, which they're allowed to use. However, it was Thursday morning, or was it Friday morning? It was either
Thursday
Thursday
morning
morning or
raining.
Friday morning.
Thursday morning raining.
But he was in four-wheel drive and just going like he was on a mud track. and I took it to the construction manager at Res and said, this is unacceptable. They know that road is nothing but dirt for that 300 or 400 feet. I said, and here's the guy going through it, here's a picture of him going through it. I said, this is unacceptable, you guys gotta do something, because it's a dirt road, and when you got that much rain, you got almost an inch of rain on it, it's gonna be nothing but a foot of mud. And here you guys are playing four-wheel drive through it, and I followed him, and he went up a half a mile, and then went east a mile, and then back north again. He could have used Diamond, which is a solid road. I said, and he goes, okay. He's got a picture of the truck, he knew who to talk to about it for a reprimand. However, they still, and he knows he's got a blaze road now for sure, because like I said, I caught him at it red-handed.
And so just like I put into the email that I sent, you know, after we have these rains, and they know they can't get on the roads to maintain them, why would they get on the roads and to haul stuff? Why would, because they know they're gonna tear it up. Why do they do that?
They're supposed to be on the haul routes, and I can't be everywhere, but
No, I know.
I catch
I know.
enough of them where it puts a halt to most of it. So, but yeah, they know better. It's just some of their employees are probably not real well paid industry-wide, and so they'll take shortcuts when they can. I know it's not an excuse,
It's not.
and I understand that. And every time I bring it to Rez's, then they stop for a while, and then I catch somebody else doing it, and I turn it into Red, and it's kind of.
Not slowing down the.
At the time they
I'm as
took,
frustrated as you
I
are,
know,
trust me.
at the time they took the job, they were probably told what they would be paid. So,
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
but
And I know that's their mentality, but you know, that would be something that,
and it's an attitude thing. Like I said, he could have taken Diamond and it had been a solid road from 330 all the way to where he was going, but he chose to go down Chisholm when he knew it wasn't a very solid road, and then move. So, you know, I told the project manager or the construction manager with Rez about it, and he was highly upset. And so,
well, I think you guys are doing an awesome job. I mean, God, I can't imagine what it would have been like without you. Probably 6 months ago. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate your work, and I know it's golly, it's a full-time job plus. So,
Appreciate that.
I know, in all sincerity, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same
Yeah,
way,
thank you.
that we know you're doing your job. It's just,
I push as hard as I possibly can without being
I know,
a belligerent.
I understand,
But-
I understand, but sometimes you gotta get a little bit tough.
And that's why,
Yeah.
you know, Tanner is the same. He sent out a letter and then saying that you guys could pull their right of use, and boom, they were out there blading roads.
Yep.
And got them all back up, and it's like, seriously? Why don't you guys just do what I tell you, and then everything's kosher? You know, you don't have to wait for this threat.
Well, you give them an inch to take a mile, that's just, you know, human nature. So we're gonna take our miles back.
Exactly.
So anyway, we do appreciate your work, we really do.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Randy?
No, he just needs to grow more whiskers, that's all.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
I have a football beard, 11 on each cheek.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Alrighty.
please keep us informed as soon as we
Yep,
have
I'll
this
set the
meeting.
meeting with, Reds, and now, and all the project managers there, and then, yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank
Keep up
you,
the
guys.
good work. Thank you. Randy, how are ya?
I'm good. Do you need bathroom break or?
No, I don't, but I appreciate you being concerned.
Well, all three of you sitting there all morning long.
I think something a little stronger than coffee would help maybe, because my bathroom is good, so.
Unless you take
come on in.
slow one, Randy.
You don't have like a PowerPoint or
Oh, you
anything,
don't?
you just have
I won't charge you.
PDF.
Yes.
And I do have 3 copies.
Well, I brought some.
And you got the letter too?
Yes. And they should have all that in their packets.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was for anybody that might want one here in the room. Okay, well, I'm not gonna bore you with more mud stories
Oh,
if I can
you
help
should
it.
be in the hot seat. But you look pretty comfortable there, so.
Yeah, I'm all right here.
I'm gonna let you get away with it this time.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you allowing us to be here this morning. We'll try to make sure you stay on track. Myself, Matt Meyerhoff are here representing Marion's Community Foundation, otherwise known as the Marion Advancement Campaign. And I'm here this morning to represent both MAC and the Bowron Building. And in that vein, I know that perhaps the three of you don't have a whole lot of historical references to the city of Marion, but I'd kind of like to start off the presentation by telling you how many things we've lost over the years on Main Street in Marion. And if you stop to think about it very long, you remember the Creamery building at First and Main. You might remember the YMCA building at Fifth and Main. There were two historic bank buildings on each corner, the southwest corner and the northeast corner of Third and Main. And then there was the Case and Sons Insurance Agency in the middle of the 200 block of East Main. Those have all been lost by the unfortunate Mother Nature's hand in the case of fires. And the other building was the one on the corner of Second Main, the hardware store that literally fell out into the street where Liberty Park is now. Some of those buildings, as I said, were demised by Mother Nature's hand and unfortunate fires. Some were by neglect, and some were just by modernization decisions. I'm here to represent to you this morning that the people of Marion don't want the Bowron Building added to that list. And I think you'll see a letter of support in your packets, probably from the Marion County Historical Society as well. So if you can go ahead and that slide's fine.
Okay.
So our history and our heritage is in my mind a priceless thing. And the Bowron Building is certainly part of Marion's history. It's been here since 1886, was built as a companion building to the historic Elgin Hotel. And it's served a good purpose in those years hence, whether it's retail, government. It served a lot of different purposes, both on the first floor and on now the fairly long neglected second floor. Now you can hit that. So my question for you today is, what's going to be this commission's legacy? Years and years and years ago, the same decision confronted a county commission regarding a long ago county commission. I know it was way before any of the three of you were sitting in these chairs. But nevertheless, they were confronted with a decision on the county forefront. And we kind of know what's happened to that building in the years hence. There are some efforts underway right now to take care of that property. But it's not often that history comes around and offers us a second chance at leaving a good legacy. You're all familiar with the actions regarding the Bowron Building over the past year and a half, with MCC EDC getting permission to, have a construction estimate and the kinds of things we needed for new rehabilitation. About a year ago, we came back and offered you 4 perhaps different options. In the meantime, I can tell you, and Matt will confirm, that in each one of our MAC meetings, the building has been a topic of conversation. And essentially, MAC, as an organization, has come to the conclusion that we just simply can't wait anymore. We can't wait any longer to ask for a decision on the building from you all. So the decision that I'm here to ask you for today is to deed the property to the Marion Advancement Campaign. Now, why is that? Unfortunately, unoccupied buildings aren't like a nice bottle of wine. They don't get better with age. They only slip deeper into disrepair. If you would do so, it places the property in the hands of an organization with a proven record of some community development. Everything that's gone on with the old Marion Community Building has been on behalf of MAC. both downstairs in the basement and the ballroom, and now the balcony for the additional seating. The Marion Advancement Campaign is a registered 501c3. It is Marion's Community Foundation. And the community, and even the county, are very familiar with it because MAC basically operates the Marion Food Bank and Resource Center up there, and so we serve a lot of Marion County residents out of that facility, and they're familiar with us. And the other part of it is that we do have access to the Marion Land Bank, and so that would augment some of the different options that might be available to the Marion Advancement Campaign. And last and certainly not least, it represents citizens who care the most about this historic structure, and that's the people of Marion and Marion County. So you can hit the next one, please. So these are just some ideas, and all of our brainstorming about what uses could be in that building. There's all sorts of dreams that have been mentioned and have come up. There's only room for 3 on this slide, but if you look at those, I need to stress, first of all, they're only ideas and dreams, right? So the palette is clear right now. But what you see in the upper left, you see a potential retail space. Lower left is, we believe there's room for a small studio apartment at the back on the first floor. And the 2 pictures on the left represent a small 35-seat kind of art movie theater. And those are examples from some other places around the country. But just all sorts of kinds of things come to mind when we have brainstorming sessions about how the building could be utilized. So, our plan, should you elect to do this, our plan would be to secure a detailed development plan within 6 months. And we would consider both floors. We'd consider probably about a 12-month interior demolition and reconstruction time frame. We want to have that building back on the Marion County tax rolls, preferably in the 2019 tax year, but depending on how things work out, maybe a little longer than it may be the 2020 tax year. And MAC will definitely consider the option of partnership with the Marion Land Bank for some tax abatement that might give a potential developer a little longer runway in making sure all this comes together. So, Matt and I are here today to ask you specifically, and I mean specifically, for approval of a motion to effect this transfer today. The longer we wait, the bigger the challenge is going to be. I believe our heritage and our history is a priceless thing, should be preserved and cherished. And so my ask of you today is, which of the 3 of you will move to deed the Bowron building to the Marion Advancement Campaign and help preserve this part of our past?
That is a beautiful building. I've always loved it. I wanted the county to keep it and restore it and do something in the county. But I know that's not going to happen. So I'm all for it. Randy, you look like you had a question.
Yeah, I have some conversation there. I believe the real estate agent has looked at it, and I believe asked Tina to let him look inside of it. And his position is he would like to know whether the county wants to sell it, going to sell it themselves, or what they're going to do. He's interested in becoming an agent to sell it. I think he might even have an offer to it, so, for the building. My take is that, you know, county spent $65 grand, I think, is what you told me, Randy, I think,
Somewhere along that line.
for the building. I'm willing to do something with it, but I'm willing to also try to recover some money for the county. And I think maybe the public needs the chance to have a look at it too. We haven't put it out there for any of the public to see if anybody else is interested. I'm not saying this isn't a good thing to do. They've got a track record of proving and doing things like that, but you're spending tax dollars that we spent $65 for it, and I think we ought to get something back out of it.
Kent, do you have anything to add?
Well, I wasn't around when the county bought it. I don't know how long the county owned it.
At least 15 to 16 years, and what if you
I'm not sure that was a good investment on the county's part at the time, just because of looking down the road and seeing how much it was gonna cost to keep it in shape. I mean, I understand right now it needs a new roof badly.
Which is sad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we probably could get some dollars. I look at not just Marion, but Hillsborough too, and see, buildings along Main Street that have been for sale for a long time, or finally have sold for
Fraction.
10 to 20% of what they originally asked. And so if I weigh that against the tax benefit of getting that back on the rolls, I would be leaning toward transferring.
Can I ask you something, Ken? What would you think? You say we've seen, there's been a lot of promises and different things to get things back on this, and this will happen, and before it's all done, I've seen this in the city of Peabody, before it's all done, it don't happen like it's supposed to. Somebody else comes along, changes their minds and things like that.
Yeah, it's possible.
And so with that being said, you just said you'd like to see it back on the tax rolls, and I think that's what really the bottom line, the reason why I would say sell it, is to get it back on the tax rolls. And so, with that being said, if you was to vote to do this, what they're asking us to do here, what kind of rules could we make the sale with, or deed it over with, that would be back on? Would you accept, with that being said, Randy, would you accept that to be put back on the tax rolls in no other way or shape or form?
Well, I think the contingencies would be whatever language would be in the deed. I'm not sure I completely understand what you're asking me. If you're asking me if we would go ahead and deed the building today, let's say, are you asking me, could one of our contingencies be that it would be immediately on the Marion County tax rolls, or
No.
are you just suggesting, let's take your ideas and your action plan and make that part of the contingencies?
Some sort of time frame with the options that, you know, the idea right now I hear Kent and mine both is to get it back on the tax rolls.
Right.
Well, I believe that contingency would be part of the real estate contract, not the deed.
Okay.
I mean, the contract would have to be specific that this is gonna happen,
Right.
and that, you know, if it doesn't, we have something to come back to MAC or whatever and say, hey, you said 2020 at the latest, now it's 2021, it's not on the tax roll. I mean, I would want some security through contract that that's gonna happen.
And on the same token, you don't know what the future's gonna bring. So I think as long as they're, by the time 2020 gets here, if you can see that they are diligently working on it, that there should be leeway there, because I wouldn't wanna have.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at it, but I still think it needs to be part of the contract.
And honestly, Matt, help me out here, but I can't speak on behalf of MAC without having kind of broached the subject with him, but I honestly don't believe that contingencies of that sort would be not palatable to the.
That wouldn't nix the sale.
I don't believe so.
I believe that was actually discussed in one meeting, that if something like that came up, that you guys did want a deadline that actions could be put in.
Right.
There was no discourse in the meeting over that discussion.
Because our stated and strong plans are to be earlier than that. I mean, that's where we wanna get to. Randy, you and I have had conversations about things like this, you know, both in your community and here, so. You know, we're just anxious to get going, that's what.
Well, and I'll just speak right out. Peabody Baker Buildings is right up front. I mean, that is one of the, you know, the council took the feelings that they wanted to do, keep them and, you know, keep them in the community, and they've done that. They've spent a lot of taxpayers' dollars money that either hidden or not talked about. And then, sure, we are seeing some results now finally, but there's at least 150,000, if not closer to 200,000, that the public knows about, that we're not giving the buildings away for just have somebody in there.
Well,
And that's not such a bad thing, I mean,
No.
it's not such a bad thing, but yet it's,
it would depend on, I mean, from my perspective, it may be the right thing, but it would be nice to have a strategy behind it, to say, and everybody agreed, yes, this is a good thing. And so in this vein, what I'm suggesting is the nice part is that in the hands of a 501c3, the Marion Community Foundation, then the donors and the people that we would get to participate in that are non-taxable dollars. I mean, they're not part of your budget year over year.
So, a couple things that I look at. One would be, the county does have some dollars in it, have some use back out for those dollars. I think we have the exact same goal that you guys do. We want to see private development back into that in return to the tax rolls. We are essentially saying, deed it to us, we will take care of the process of that happening rather than having to spend county funds to make that happen. So basically allow us to take it over and do what your goal is. The other thing that I do want to mention, and it's not exactly on that topic, a reason that I believe MAC is a good avenue to do this is while it is Marion's Community Foundation, we have projects going out at the county lake with Isaac. We have projects going with other communities around the county. It is not solely focused on the city of Marion and only the city of Marion. So don't want you to worry about that, well, we're turning this over to the city or something. It is not the city. It is a foundation for Marion and Marion County.
And I'm just happy to see that you're willing to take it and do something with the building. It's sitting there just bleeding away.
Not only willing, but anxious.
And,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's why we're
yes.
directly asking. We think we have mutual goals.
And honestly, realtors have plenty of opportunity to step up to the plate and do something, and never did come before. So,
And if they do, we're not going to stop someone from coming in and going, hey, we want to develop this. If there is someone interested, by all means, they can come talk to us and we will work with them.
well, I think your plan still gets across to what my point is if it's back on the tax rolls, then it's gonna put some dollars back in our county that we're gonna get. And we're gonna get taxed to a few more communities besides just what the county spent. But I want that guarantee that it don't become a public
Become public offices.
or whatever it may be. I'm not gonna put pinpoint down
Yeah.
on it. But it comes back to the county tax roll, or somehow the county gets it back.
Well, and at first look, when I'm thinking about this thing, I kind of maybe thinking a little bit along what Randy was thinking initially. Oh, we need to just sell it and get some county taxpayer back. But I can see getting a contract on it that's going to cost us almost as much money as what we're going to end up. Because if I'm a potential buyer, I'm going to say, you seal that roof up before I take possession. You do this for it, and that's typical in a real estate contract. So in the end, I'm thinking, well, we're not ahead anyway.
Right.
And the tax roll situation to me is more important.
And I think the restoration of the building and keeping it in the city is the best, in the county is the best way to go. You guys will oversee it, make sure that it's done
You're gonna
to
have,
the best ability of the county.
we're gonna have to make some arrangements, do something like this, because we do have documents up
Right.
there.
Yeah.
We do have other things stored in there too.
Or
We're gonna have to find a new.
Part of those contract items that you guys mentioned probably ought to address the documents and so forth on the side.
And do we have a place to go with them?
That's the problem.
We can find someplace.
So anyway,
I'm all for it. First step, of course, is to have a vote by the commission. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we donate the property to the Community Foundation Marion Advancement Campaign.
With,
subject to,
Yes, subject to
Contract.
contract agreements by both parties. Do I have a second? Second by Kent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Well, I'll say aye I'll be with you.
Okay.
I said I'd be with you.
So he's in favor.
He's in
Didn't say-
favor. We have to
You
figure it
didn't ask me
out,
if I
but
was
he's in
gonna-
favor.
we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We do.
Thank you.
And
You both are sitting right here know what I want when it's done.
Exactly.
Whether I'm in office or whether I'm out of office.
And
It's,
you'll let us know.
And it doesn't exceed what we want.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we would appreciate a disinterested attorney or whoever to draw that contract up,
Okay.
not
I
by
think-
someone
I
that's
think
involved
we'll-
with the enhancement campaign.
Okay. We'll go reach out and see if we can get that done, keep that off of your schedule.
We have a good legal counsel that can take you through that.
Okay.
Well, he'd have to review it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you.
Guys.
Thank you guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
All
Good
you
to see
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Good to
Keep
see
up the
you.
good
Yep.
work at the lake.
Thanks,
Good
Bill.
to see you. See you.
Okay. Mr. James, join us. I understand. And they were already pretty comfy on that chair, so. I bet you it is. So the next person on the agenda then is Janine. Come on up, the hot seat is yours.
And she has some documents here that she prepared,
Okay,
one for each of you.
thank you.
It's my quarterly reports for all of you to see.
Go ahead, Julie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean I was looking over your documents, but go ahead.
Do you have any questions on it?
Why don't you, go through it and explain it, and then maybe we'll have some questions.
Okay, let's start with the special report on the funds on hand, this one.
Yeah, that's not, okay, that's fine.
Okay. This
Okay.
point of the year is always when we have the least funds on hand because all of the entity funds have been distributed, all the tax funds. So if you're wondering why it's so much smaller, that is the reason. Just on the, we go on to the memo to county commissioners. I'm doing it backwards
I
to the
think-
way you've got
I
them,
think
but.
so. Which one is that? I don't have,
Guess we don't have that.
I guess we don't.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Okay,
Be
well,
the third page, I can get a copy. The copier must have skipped it.
It's just, I just wanted to point out that through the bidding process, the funds have now been moved around and the interest we are getting is a little bit higher each month, and that we have part of the CD requirement is that they pay into the account every month, so. Instead of big lump sums, we will have smaller sums, but they will be continual. As a, the interest chart, I don't know if you've got that
I
one.
have it, we have it, yes.
You can see that things are kind of changing around a little bit on who has what. And the auto funds are just what we've done this last quarter. The, last Tuesday, we initiated the new driver's license program, and so far it is working, I'm glad to say, so. With, small hiccups, but you expect that on anything new.
The virtual ID form.
No, what we are doing now is, it's a total new package of the program. So it's like when they initiated the movers, it's a whole new program that we're using to do the same function. So,
But you haven't initiated the virtual ID portion
oh,
of
that's
that?
been going on since last August.
Oh, okay, so that's,
the star one.
Yeah,
okay.
Star.
and they have allowed us to start using laminated social security cards if things are visible. You know, some of them are
I'll have to look.
colored on the back, and that is a problem.
Okay.
So that has been a major breakthrough there.
Everything you go to get costs you $30 through the state of Kansas to get something, whether it's marriage license, or birth certificates, or whatever, it's $30. By the time it's done, if you want more, it's a higher price of that.
Well, something new that they instituted, well, October 23rd, I believe. If you've had your eyes checked in the past year, you haven't moved, nothing has changed, you can renew your driver's license online. I haven't gone out to see how it works.
How would they substantiate? If I said I had my eyes checked within the last year, how would they know?
Oh,
Why does it
you,
say
you,
that?
Check the box.
it's checked.
It's checked.
That you give the optometrist report, and it's checked against there, because you have to list them and then it's checked. So I don't know if it's longer to get the license back, since they have to do that checking. Like I say, it's kind of new, and I haven't heard any reports of anyone that's tried it.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I had doubts about.
We've missed the fun of coming and seeing all of you guys.
Mhm.
Seems to be the way of the future. Everything's gonna be done on the computer.
Yeah,
I'll just receive a brand.
you know, I guess it's more efficient, but I
That-
still enjoy the interaction with the public.
It would just seem to me as though that would create a burden to the optometrist in a way. I mean, that's an extra step now that they would have to go through to verify. I don't know.
I don't know if there's a way you can scan in if you've got the, like I say, I haven't gone out and played with it, I should. It's on iCan if you wanna go look at it, so.
I won't.
You come see us anytime you want.
Anything else, Janine? Nope. Any questions for Janine? Randy,
No, just a comment.
what's your comment?
Well, you know, we all recognize that our cash balances are trending down somewhat, and we expected that, and I know Tina stays on top of that, but that's something we need to be watching, so as we move forward.
Would you like this sheet every month? I can do that.
I thought we had that almost every month.
No,
No, we
I
had
think
one of
You
the
get
other
it,
ones.
you get it
every month.
quarterly.
when you get,
Okay.
when she does the report, it might be helpful. I don't know what the other two commissioners,
That'd be fine if you could provide it,
I can do it.
okay?
As soon as we balance out for the month, I can get it back.
sure,
This one's quick.
yeah,
It's the other ones that take a little.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the sunshine
All right.
and the
What
color.
sunshine?
I don't know that
It's
I
out
agree.
there.
Yes, it's so pretty.
Okay, so it is 11 o'clock, and like I said, Jessie is not here. Gayla, she's not, is she out there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't know someone talked to Brad about that.
Yeah, did you have some things for us too, or we could stay?
That one, yeah.
Yeah, I want this. I was, wondering, and I keep going back to tax money, without a site. You have no idea how much that's stuck in my craw. Especially in today's world and what we're experiencing with the former economic development person. How could we get that in there to where everybody that handles the money would need to be bonded?
Just that you could just put in there, I guess, but since, again, we get into this 1 foot in each world kind of a thing we've talked about before, where it is personnel already, so in theory, the people handling the money, in terms of payments, and as I envision it, are already with the county and already doing that. The reimbursement is basically them taking money that's already been granted to them, for example, from the county in terms of what you budgeted for them and provided back to us. So it isn't necessarily that they're handling our money. I mean, they are to the extent that you granted those funds to them for their use, and even without this agreement, they've already got that, as I understand it, the ability to use those funds.
So when you talk about the reimbursement, you're talking about the reimbursement for the pay agent?
Yep.
Okay, I'm talking about for the whole plan, the whole program.
The amount that you're granting to them.
Yes. Yes. Now, it was suggested maybe in their bylaws, but they change their bylaws anytime they want.
Mhm.
So that would not be a continued
Mhm.
security to the county for those
Yeah,
tax
I
dollars.
suppose it could be appended to this. I mean, there's nothing that would preclude me from doing it. Just indicating that this whole agreement is predicated on the fact that the funds that are being provided to them annually, that you, that you provide to them, they would provide appropriate surety or security for in the form of a bond or whatever was the cheapest way to go. There's gonna be some expenditure. That's a piece of what we're providing them is gonna come right back out to provide that insurance, but.
I mean, I would feel better if something was in there.
What happens if they go buy a new Cadillac off of it?
Misappropriation of funds, I mean, well, it depends.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, and I think that's what Diane's after, is if they go buy that, do we get the money back from just being bonded?
Depends on the bond, but yeah, you can. I mean, generally what's gonna happen is similar to what we're witnessing now. If the funds are used for an inappropriate or or inconsistent purpose, then what you'll have is a misappropriation criminal case. is
And
what
you'd
will
still
come
have to
to
go
you.
through litigation for the bonding company to pay out.
Well, you make your request, and if they said, no thanks, then yes. If they honor it up front, then no, you don't have to.
But having something like that would be better than having nothing.
If you're looking for absolute additional, the belt and suspenders assurance, yeah. Yeah. It hasn't been done, so quite frankly, I never even really gave that a lot of thought. I was just more interested in, they're wanting to set something up here for this particular purpose and didn't move into that area at all. That'd be kind of a separate topic, but it can be, part of this agreement.
What would the next agreement that we would enter into them? Have you already thought about that? Will there be another agreement that we will enter into them? Then I would think we should attach it to
Yeah,
this.
not
would be
unless you
my
wanted
thought.
something else that adds to the process or changes how we're doing things.
I sure would like that, but I
Yeah.
doubt that we would go down,
Either that or do something with the disbursement as of the first of the year.
I mean,
We got a disbursement coming up first of the year, whatever it may be, and with that comes a new agreement
Good.
to get into this
we
situation.
still owe for this year, don't we, 40-some thousand, don't we, for 2018? I think we still owe a payment this year
Yeah,
yet,
so
too.
that's what I'm saying, is whatever you know.
So if we're not gonna really go into, if we don't have plans to really set up any other type of agreement, it's here.
The other thing that I did in this one that had not been discussed before is I was going through that, somewhat implicit, but I don't like to leave it that way. I went ahead and expressly noted an annualized term,
Yeah.
similar to a budget, so that in the event you're going, this isn't working out, you give the notice as of October 1st and the whole thing goes away. So the most that you're exposing it for is the budget year that you've allotted funds for as your, well, if you didn't budget for it, I mean, you could talk about that as early as during the budget planning sessions, but at the very least, you're noticing someone up, so they have 60 days to plan it, okay, how the heck are we gonna do things now? Or vice versa, if we're getting out of it for some reason, they want to do something different. But that was the only thing I put in there, that was just more of a protocol that would give you some cover if annually you didn't like how it was going. And you also always have the ability annually to start, no, we're just not gonna provide any funding. We're out of the middle of this, we're still a paymaster, but we're not funding it. And it's a practical matter, that ends things anyway, given where you're at right now in terms of who's primarily giving the vast majority of the dollars until they change over to private entities or someone else comes in and starts to fund what you're doing.
So in the event that, down the road, we say, hey, we're not gonna do this anymore, we're done. You just said we're still the paymaster. So that means then the people that, if they would have hired a director, that just falls back on the county. What happens to that director?
That's, yeah, at that point, if you're done with this agreement, there's two things. You're budgeting and saying, we're gonna give you X number of dollars each year to go ahead and further this particular activity.
Mhm.
That's one. This agreement is separate and apart from that, irrespective of who gives you the money, we're agreeing to be the paymaster. And we're right now agreeing to do it the way I've done this on an annualized basis.
Okay.
And then the rest of this fits in, and it is a county employee. We're creating that role. We are saying that we can, with the notice as of October 1st of the given year, end that relationship. And then what you choose to do with that individual, they would either become an employee of theirs or, you'd end that. And you have the full set of options because there's no contractual relationship that you're creating that I know of.
And with the disclaimer, then we're not obligated to anything either.
Right. But I guess some of these are separate kinds of things that can be added or subtracted. And yes, I can put that in here if you want to, in order for us to do this, we want you, I have to think that through, to bond for certain things. They're already doing a general indemnification, so I just attach it to that and say that there would be a formalized element of indemnification to the extent of something that would key it to either the amount that we provide or whatever it may be, or the amount of the compensation for that new personnel.
Okay, so, yeah, I would be in favor, I hear what you're saying, and I think even putting it in this would be great because it's still the same dollars, in and out, in and out, and they're still responsible for utilizing these dollars appropriately. So, that would be my suggestion to the commission, if I would have support on that, it'd just be a little bitty security blanket.
I don't mind having a security blanket, but I wanna get something signed, get this going so they can move on, because they're not gonna do nothing until they're assured that they got money sitting there and they got the page and they know what they can do,
I
and
like
stuff like
that.
this, and so, I just,
Would you be able to do that and have that, emailed to us so that we could maybe sign it on Wednesday, and have it paid?
I can do it this
Can we do that?
afternoon, because all I'm gonna do is add to, it's still up on the system at the office. And assuming it continues to work like it was this morning, we should be fine. And I just add that, I'd have to think through exactly what kind of bonding requirement you want and what would you like to tie it to. If you just want to set some amount, a surety bond of $150,000 for, the
appropriated funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way you would say.
We need to have it tied to that amount, would be the best way.
What you said earlier would be just to be, that it is contingent upon them having a bond on file with my office. For their, and would it be for their treasurer or for their board and any employees?
I'd probably make it as broad as I could for that reason, because they're gonna be utilizing
I mean,
this
if
fund.
they're a county employee, they are covered under a bond.
That's my thought too.
But if they're not, like their board, they just need to have a bond on file and with us.
And right now, this agreement covers us serving as what we'll call a page. So it would be, for us to do this, we want you to have that, follow me?
I do.
Because that's the consideration, as opposed to, and if you then want to add that when you are distributing funds in the new year with the next distribution, then that would be something I would add to it as well at that time.
So would that be a separate contract at that time?
Or at least an addendum to this.
Yeah.
I just have to figure out which is going to be the easiest way to get that done.
Whichever.
But since you've said payday is only for
Payday
payday,
activities.
that's a special meeting for payday, I don't think that
Yeah, that'd
we
be a
could
problem.
do this on that.
Okay, so
Unless they could if they added in advance and we noticed it up in some way, but other than that, it would be.
So we could go ahead,
It's kind of institutionalized as only that. That's the
Now
way
it
that
is,
motion
that's
was
the-
done.
so we could go ahead and approve it today, contingent upon you adding that bond to it, and then just have the chairman come in, or, does everybody have to sign that?
Yeah.
So we can all just come in and sign it at our own time, right?
Subject to that, subject to staff review and revision as directed. If you did your motion that way, then yeah, I think you could, because you're gonna come in and confirm that I did what you asked me to. And if any
So-
one of you doesn't like what I've written, then we're back
And
to
it's
next
gotta come
Monday.
back, and it would be an additional week, because
Yeah.
there is no meeting next
Oh,
Monday
that's right.
because of the
you're right,
election.
next week.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything else I would wanna add to it. So as far as I'm concerned, if that was added to it, I would sign it.
Okay.
But I don't know, so we can go ahead then and approve it based, you wanna make a, I didn't get a copy of it, I
Oh, you
never,
did? Okay,
no, I
geez.
guess you sent it to my county,
Yeah,
see, I never look at that,
okay.
only on the night I
It's good to
download my
know.
package. You
Okay.
never look at that, okay,
The-
so.
This one, just then for your edification there, and I did the same thing that I did with the earlier ones. The one that's titled term, it's been italicized, underlined, and bolded, sets that annualized term. And then if you flip it over, I deleted that portion that Tina pointed out also, and I think rightfully so. The partisan political activity is completely gone. I replaced it, however, with an assurance that they will follow any and all personnel requirements of the county employee through our manual or handbook.
Okay.
That's the only two things I did differently at this point. Now we'll add another current.
Okay, that sounds good. So, having said that, I will make a motion to go ahead and accept the agreement for economic development services to benefit Marion County, Kansas, pending the addition of, how do I say that?
That's staff revision,
Staff revision.
consistent with your request.
Consistent with request of the commission.
Mhm.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
All right.
I do too, she's enthusiastic. We're gonna get it.
Biting him down.
I just wanna make sure, you never know. And I have, like I say, I have dealt with a lot of contracts and stuff, and you just need so much out the law. Drives
That's
you
part of the reason
crazy.
people come in and say, I just need a really simple one, I don't wanna, contribute to your retirement. I need a 2-pager, and I was like, I need a 2-pager, just won't say much. And it's, and it's true, I mean, you can take this and make it
Just-
triple the size in a hurry.
Sure.
Too badly enough. Part of this, given that we've decided to allow it to be a county employee, a lot of that's already built, inherent in the fact that they're a county employee. All of our personal manual, all that's already incorporated by reference in there, but the rest of it is kind of a see how it goes approach, and given that we've set it up on an annualized basis, you have some flexibility if you don't like something to say, it isn't working for us. Right now you're committing, depending on when they're hired, which we assume they'll probably be pushing the end of the year anyway, you're committing to a 12-month period of time, really.
Well, Diane, since you've just about got my trigger tripped here on this economic development here.
Oh, okay,
And what we've seen in the paper of what happens, things, so on and so forth, I just don't agree with the law. You steal my money and you go spend it on something else, you're gonna pay for it, not just by paying me back. I just can't agree with, and that's your fault, 'cause you're a lawyer.
Where have I heard that one before?
But you're not the judge.
I agree with you on that,
I
Randy.
just,
I
I
agree.
just, yeah, it's just,
$5 a month or
Yeah.
something.
well, yeah, and it just
Yeah.
don't, to this amount of money, I mean, a few pennies is a few pennies, but not a few thousand. I mean, there's quite a few $1,000s.
I remember seeing that camper
Yeah, it's
out in front
horrible.
of libraries and.
If for no other reason, but just to let other people know.
Yeah, what
that
kind of
this-
example?
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of
There's
example?
consequences to being,
Mhm.
I won't say that.
I'm done, I'm shut up.
Okay. So, finally, we do have, oh wait, are we ahead of time? Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go ahead and do Gail, and then we have other things to discuss with you?
Not unless you do, I don't.
You almost know me pretty good by now. So we'll have Gayla come up on the hot seat.
Don't let it burn you.
Right. This one kind of be nice. I know, it feels great. Oh, no.
So Gayla, go ahead.
Okay, well, after last week, I went back and I contacted Jay Hatfield, told him that I needed to come up with a difference, through my 38,000 and the 43,400 or whatever. And, after that, he said, I wanna work with you, I really wanna work with you. So the next day, he, contacted me and lowered the bid to $40,809. I looked at my budget, and I do have in capital outlay, I do have the $2,809 to cover the difference.
I'm sorry, you have how much?
In my capital outlay, I have enough to cover the $2,809 difference between the $38,000 and the $40,809.
So you can pay for it out of your budget? Okay.
Make the motion, we accept that bid from Jay Hatfield.
Have a motion by Randy. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Ken to accept the bid from J. Hatfield Mobility for $40,809. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How many miles is on the old vehicle?
I think there's about
Truck,
90.
97,569.
Yep, it's on there.
You have driven a little bit since you did the bid. Not too much.
Is there anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I can go another 2,000, I wanna work with you.
So I do have just one other thing, Mr. Janice and Tina. In one of my other boards that we have, one of the things that is being brought up is the employee handbook, updating it. And some of the things, and I brought some of the stuff with me, some of the new things that are coming out with the changes in laws with employees is like mega. And there's a lot of changes. Well, for example, you know, when you talk about nepotism, and that's embossed into our brains what nepotism is. But in today's world, they are extending, and by a lot of the things in the law, they are extending even personal relationships, people living together, dating, or cohabitating, and so on and so forth. And also extending it to stepchildren, and so on and so forth. And in so doing this, and of course, this is their revision that we're looking at right here. I'm just wondering, I think it's my suggestion that maybe the county do the same thing. I just brought this thing out, because in today's world, this is commonplace. And so, and it goes on to say, you know, that when you accept employment with relatives or so, there's a lot of serious conflicts that happen and things like that, and this is all just to prevent that. So I would really like to, I know our employee handbook has a lot of stuff in it. This is one thing, and then the other thing that really is the FMLA. The revision that they're adding for FMLA to comply with today's updates and stuff like that is deep. But again, they pointed out at our last meeting that some of these things are actually by law that we have to get into our employee thing. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't pick a couple topics each week or month or however it is. Don't undertake the whole handbook, I'm not suggesting that at one time.
Or we could, in the past, when we've done employee handbook revisions, we have utilized firms that specialize in
Doing all of that.
employment law, and they do an entire revision, they review everything, and then if there are certain things that the county wants added, then they can add that in an appropriate legal way.
But how much does that cost, and we already have Mr. Gantz who can do that for us?
I understand, but that's
Notice how
also
she
not.
did
Yeah.
She's gonna let me speak that.
Yeah.
I am, but I
It
mean,
is-
I'm not sure what,
yeah,
that's
it's-
your,
It is highly
Specialties.
specialized.
Yeah.
And I do, in fact, I'm going coincidentally to one this afternoon to go over in broad strokes, another one for another governmental entity. And yes, I go to the seminars because it really, I just have to know it for administrative reasons.
Sure.
It comes up when the clerks call and say, how do we interpret this? And you're absolutely right. The nepotism has been expanded given change in societal norms. There are a number of reasons that is significant. Other doesn't mean what it once did.
Right.
And that has dramatically changed and expanded that area. FMLA is another. There are several others in terms of nomenclature. There's a lot of things. And it is a seamless web. It's like doing bankruptcy law or immigration or certain things. I will be candid and tell you that that is a sufficient enough specialty in the area of personnel that I would really recommend that at the very least we would have someone contracted to review it, even if we did some of the changes, because it's so easy to think that you have that thoroughly covered and find that later on when you desperately don't want to find it out, that you didn't do it adequately or you overstepped or in some way did it incorrectly. So I will readily say that it's not my area of specialty per se. Yes, I make changes to them all the time, small tweaking kinds of things. I have gone through them and said, hey, I've looked at it in a general sense, and you got a bunch of areas here that warrant doing that. But in terms of a complete, comprehensive review of it, who serves as the backstop and kind of gives you their comprehensive review is a good idea.
Okay.
And in your best interest.
How long has it been since we've had anything like that?
It's been several years.
And 2 to 5 is kind of the range. If usually within 2, you're still probably okay, unless there's been some major.
I'm pretty sure we're over 5. I mean,
You know.
we've just been updating things here and there as
5
things
years
have come
can
up.
change
so-
a
Well,
lot.
that's a lot. And in the last 5 years in particular, there's been enough legal changes in terms of even Supreme Court rulings that I would strongly recommend that it probably get looked at. You're right.
So we can do if you'd like to bid that out, we can do that. Just do a basic search of attorney firms that specialize in employment law in this area and let them know that we're looking for a firm to do a review and make recommendations and revisions.
And
And
that-
see what it would cost, because I can't tell you what it will cost.
You can just tell us what we paid 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'd have to
Tell
look.
them to do
I'm
that
trying to
again for that
remember who
price.
it was, but I could
And
look
we
and
put a
see.
percentage increase onto that.
So, and I would say with the pay plan and everything that we are already paying, because I can hear right now already the constituents, another study. I hear what you're saying, Tina, I agree. So if it comes back to be a lot of money, would it also be something that we could maybe fix some of the known problems right here and then put it out for maybe next year to do something like that?
Within
It's
reason.
not gonna be a lot of money.
Well, it depends what you call a lot of money. You know, some of the constituents think $1,000 is a lot of money.
They're probably over $1,000
I'm just-
potentially.
But I would be interested to know the price, and if we could put that out, that would be
Well,
great.
the thing to keep in mind, and Brad will probably agree, is that when when it comes to employment policies and employment law, you wanna make sure that you have it right.
Yes.
And so that is something that it is highly specialized, and you don't wanna skimp on making sure that you have things legal, so.
Well, I agree with you, just sitting
Yeah.
through that class at KAC, and they always have that Kansas lawyer there, that just in one subject matter, it takes a 3-hour class, and then she's pointing out every direction that encumbers. So I agree that it is very
And
special.
employment law is becoming very much like a number of other, including open meetings, open records, that we look at it comprehensively nationally because there's governmental entities everywhere. And so the application of federal law to a lot of it has become so prevalent that it's kind of like the Clint Eastwood know your limitations thing. It is not something, it's not my pure specialty, and literally that's what some of these guys do, is nothing but personnel types of advocacy or defense. And then these kinds of manuals, they will go through them, and it's something that they see all the time. I don't, and I'll be the first to tell you, yep, I have a pretty good sense of where the primary areas that would be sensitive and we need to concentrate on are, yes. But do I feel comfortable that we could go through that thing beginning to end? I rewrite it and say, I guarantee that it's that this is it, and it's right, and there's no changes.
Okay.
No. And I would want someone to backstop that, I really would.
Well, I always respect your opinion, so.
Well, I just think that's I know with what I know, I don't want to say just enough to be dangerous, because it's hopefully more than that, but it's enough that I know what I don't know. And I would really want them to look at that, I really would.
I do think it's pertinent that we do, because I know our handbook has got, seeing what our handbook says, seeing what's happening in the county.
And the litigious nature of this kind of thing, and with social media and the fact that people get encouraged, well, if you think you've been wronged in this way, here's what you do. And it's easy to make a phone call or two, and it's so easy anymore, quite frankly, and it's been meant to do that, that all of the agencies in the state that regulate this are more user-friendly. They don't have to write a letter anymore. They can get online with a particular department, and there's a pull-down menu with a short box where you can write a complaint. And at that point, that triggers someone who's paid at the state with tax dollars to contact us and inquire, and we go through a fair amount of time to respond and give them everything they need, and may or may not be completely right. Not because anyone had any heinous intent, it just happens. And so one of the areas that really it's a good investment, it's kind of like buying insurance. You need it when you need it. This is the same way. given the kinds of liability and exposure you have and the fact that we have a number of personnel, this is pretty day-to-day applicability to us, and having that right is a good idea.
And our example is private business.
Yeah.
20 years ago, the same size business had an HR person. Now they have HR departments.
Yeah, and specializations that are subspecialties within that, as to someone handles your insurance, someone handles any of your hostility or harassment claim. I mean, they all do different things, and they do it full time because.
And the education required
Yeah.
is, wow,
Yeah.
to actually do that.
Yeah.
While we're on this too, is an elected official gets elected and he's got 3 cousins working for the county, let's just say right here. So, is that already a violation of?
Again, it's fact-driven and case-by-case. There are instances where that's not an issue. Broad strokes, I would say it's worth looking at, because there are instances, the same kind of thing, inadvertently, you could stumble into a situation where, oh, well, wait a minute, that didn't used to be a problem. Well, suddenly now you're finding that under the evolving law that, it's something that you have to either have a disclosure or you've got to have some form of, you address it in some way that we didn't necessarily address.
But yet now there's been personnel department heads in cities that if the wife is here, the man is elected as city commissioner, or if the person is a man, the wife's elected as a city commissioner, they're overruling their direct department head right over them. And that's, I mean, there's some things, I don't know if it's changed to that effect yet. I don't
Well,
know.
and what we used to do to handle that was just recuse, the superior, in terms of if a commissioner or a council member in these different governmental settings would have any kind of direct control over the compensation or the performance and the review of someone who falls in that category, they just simply recuse themselves.
Yeah.
That still works part of the time.
Yeah.
In other instances, it doesn't. And so I have to, what you end up having to do when you ask the question is I have to say, okay, tell me the facts of the particular circumstance we're dealing with, and then we go from there, because it's that specific in a lot of ways.
And expanding on that a little bit too, what I learned in this right here, not just direct supervision over salary or things like that, but now you get into favoritism and stuff like that, which is another problem that's brought up.
And that's why I was saying that, because it used to be the recusal was enough, but if there's the ability to influence, gets used in some of the case law, then we have to determine, well, is that sufficient? And that's not a black and white area. It depends on the size of the entity, it depends on how direct that influence may be, and so it's tough to answer. It's a yes, no, and maybe thing that people hate about lawyers.
And one of the things too that we never had over there in this particular board that I'm on is fraternization, which we would be adding that to it, because that's another big issue, and has to be handled gingerly, but if you don't have a policy.
Well, and there's, again, employees also. It's a much steeper hill than it used to be, in terms of interaction.
Right.
What you say, which you mean nothing by, but someone else perceives in a different way, and that becomes the basis for the liability. And unfortunately, because they work for you, we end up getting that notice, and then you spend a day and a half in a mediation or an arbitration setting in one of 2 or 3 law firms in Wichita, because I've been there.
You know, one thing was brought up, and I'm going to shut up on this, I know you always says, but I was at one of these meetings, and one of the examples that they had told us was, when you have a supervisor and they get so close to their employees is a no-no, that they cannot be. And they were giving the example of when Joe's going to go to the ball game or something, and you sit there and you're talking about Joe's going to go to the ball game, and you're going to take your wife and the kids, and you're going to take a picnic lunch, and you're going to do this and this and this. You're not supposed to even do that. You're not supposed to even question it. You're supposed to keep it right. Oh, you're going to go to the ball game, have a good time. That's the only conversation personally that a supervisor should have with their employees, and that's the new trend again.
Similarly, you've got a supervisor who thinks a great deal of the employee, approaches them about, I've got an opening for the advancement to the second position in this department under me, but it does involve a good deal more of your time. What is your fill in the blank spouse? What would they think of you taking that job? You've just got to follow up.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm on several levels, and that used to be a very innocent question, and I've had that one happen in that situation, literally happen, and so all of a sudden we found ourselves going, what did I say? All I did was ask, because I didn't want to
Yeah,
take on
most of
something.
them are fairly innocent
Yeah.
questions.
So,
And another one, when you talk about a pregnant woman, oh my gosh, she can't say anything. It's crazy, isn't it?
disabilities, various types of physical challenges or conditions, you name it, how you ask it or just comment about it has become something that people are afraid to even speak a lot of times, and that's unfortunate. But it starts out from the right premise. You're trying to protect a certain class, and how far that goes. When ADA first started, they thought it was a real simple law. And if you look around you today, there isn't anything that isn't impacted by it.
I tell you, I love going to those meetings because of what I learn and changes, but, you know, there's not one that I've attended that I just did not want to fall off the chair multiple times.
You find out what you don't know, and that, in my circumstance, does make you hyperventilate on the way home sometimes because you know, wow, I didn't even think about that.
And how far to the left we can
Mhm.
become. And then I'm done, shut up.
I got one final statement that I'd like to make. It's about redistricting that will be coming up a week from next Tuesday. Correct? Yeah, votes. At this point in stage, there's still a lot of unanswered questions out here about this, and I believe that numbers tells me that Marion County probably did the wrong thing by even asking the public to vote on it without having their numbers, their areas divided before, so that people know what to vote on, how to do this. And I think numbers says 92, I think out of 105 counties, there's still 3 commissioners. And until we develop a plan that represents everybody in this county to get to the table, I guess I'd like to vote. I personally will be voting no at this point, because I'm not satisfied with what I know we don't know what's gonna happen on districts or things like that. So I would just like to think that the public think about it. It's not planned out far enough for anybody to make a decision on at this point. So that's my final statement today.
And so I did, and this is just my idea and suggestion, I got the official numbers and got an actual, just a proposal, suggestion of where the district division would be to keep it equal, or very equal, the 5. If you look at these 5 right here, all the districts are within the same, like 20, well, Becker's would be larger at 2347. Mine would be 2257, Randy's would be 2275. Marion's would be 2265. Now Hillsborough you can't help because they do it 2800. I mean, you wouldn't want to divide it because then you have 2 representatives. So keeping the numbers the same, but again, this is just an idea, it's just a suggestion, just a thought. And I used the actual numbers from the certified state of July of 2018. So. And I think that's great, Randy. I'm with you on that, and that's why you take it before the vote of the people, because they're going to say yes, they're going to say no.
There's been a lot of people talk about it, but I
Yeah.
think we as a county need to come together and have a good plan before it goes to the public vote again.
But it is what it is, and we are where we are, and so they'll say yes or they'll say no, and we'll live with whatever they say. That's one of the good things about our democracy, to get the people involved. So, Randy, do you have any other subject matter or anything else you want to discuss? Kent, any other subject matter or?
No, but I do agree with, and I'm not saying how I'm voting because I'm still listening to voters. But, looking back, it's pretty hard to make an informed decision if you don't know, okay, I'm gonna be represented by this person, or I'm gonna be represented by a new person, or just my community's gonna have their own it was a little bit of cart before the horse, I believe.
Well, the beauty is they get to vote for their own representative at some point in time. But just like with the administrator, when we put that before them,
Sure.
there we did. We tried, and we, I think, assumed that the people would just know the need for it, but they didn't,
No.
and it was shot down, and that's the way it was.
You know,
And so we lived with that.
yeah, but most of the time you look at something and say, oh, it's another layer, so it costs more.
Yeah. So, but at any rate, and I still say, and from what I've read, the commissioners would have to take a pay decrease because naturally we're not representing the same number of constituents. Just like if we would have hired an administrator, they say that we would have had, I've heard, that we would have to take a pay reduction because he's doing all our work, or the majority of it. That's just things that people are talking about, things
So
thrown out.
you're saying there's a statute that says you have to?
No.
No, there's not a statute that says you have to. There's ethics that says you should. You know, if you're not gonna represent the same number of people, or, and I think you'll find your constituents will definitely tell you that.
She's going to represent less people and use less time to do it.
Yeah.
If I'm one of those, I'd go, wait a minute, I want you to spend as much time, just spend it more on my issues.
Right, they're getting more representation for the same price.
Yeah.
basically, so.
Yeah.
So you can
And-
argue it either way. I mean, I see what you're saying, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Because you may have a lot more miles to cover.
Mhm, mhm.
So, I don't know, it could go either
Look at,
way.
look at that one that, you're the whole side, the western side of the county, Kent, that's a lot of miles, top to bottom.
Yep, and most of his constituents actually would be on the bottom. Most of them would be on the bottom, in that
Bigger
particular
portion
case.
of the population.
Mhm. See, so, and it's crazy because second district is the biggest land mass, I think, but there's nobody living up there. It's like some of these townships have 70 people, 99 people, you know, so that's a lot of traveling. You know, but, that's if you have to make the visit, a lot of it's done at your own, you know. Only in these road conditions are we making the travels, recently anyway, so. Yeah, it would be my suggestion, and it's my suggestion that we take a pay increase, I'm sorry,
There you go.
decrease,
Pay increase, yeah.
yeah, decrease, but that's just my suggestion and my thoughts. Doesn't mean that we have to, I didn't suggest that, but we have to. Okay, so, do you have anything else from the public?
Nepotism, my family tree found out in the 1700s, I might be related to Commissioner Becker.
Then that means that you would not be able to come over and report.
I could,
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
yeah.
And like I said, I have to take a DNA test just to find out who I even belong to. Because
And then he's gonna.
most people with my name don't claim it.
He's gonna jump off the building if he's related to Deckers. Oh, no.
Do you have anything, Alex?
What was it I wanted to, oh yeah, so if this, the redistricting, whatever, reconfiguring of districts, if it doesn't get passed next week, then you could come back in 6 months and say that you wanna pass it for the next election, right? Because, I mean, you have to keep your district the same for 5 years if it passes, right? That's the law, or the rule.
I've read something about that, but I don't remember.
I think that if it doesn't pass, that I don't think there's anything that makes it where the commissioners couldn't put it on another ballot.
Right, not that I'm aware of.
It's just,
Once, yeah, if it would pass, once they set those districts, they can't be changed again for at least 4 more years.
Got it, okay.
I doubt that we would do that though.
Right.
Just like with the administrator, we probably won't take it back. I'm just saying probably, maybe we will, I don't know. But I'm just saying probably not.
Okay.
So Mike, you walked in, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, it's nice day.
Okay, I'm going around this way, Yvonne.
I just want to say I appreciate you all putting the wind farms' feet to the fire for the roads because they have not kept up and done what they're supposed to do. I do appreciate that. And Randy, I agree with you. I think somebody should be punished when they steal my money. Not just a slap on the hand.
I agree. I agree. And I will say, I have been advertising.
Communications to the court?
I said, I have been doing some advertising, for, trade wind, Diamond Vista. Just advertise from our experiences, what we, you know, and other counties are very interested as to what your experiences are.
wow.
But at any rate,
We'll get a new EMS director, yeah.
EMS director. Yes, we hired one, you missed it, Dave Owen from Morris County.
Where?
Dave Owen,
From where?
Morris
Oh,
County.
Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. That's a big town. That's a little county.
I'm not sure that they, well, yeah, I don't think they're too happy.
Look forward to
But I
meeting
mean-
him.
Pardon me?
Look forward to meeting him.
I think it'll be a very positive addition.
Mike's our new Avon, or not Avon, welcome wagon.
Mike is,
Oh, welcome, wagon.
you could probably tell Avon at the
Never
same
been called
time.
that yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You never
wait,
heard of
I
welcome
want
wagon?
the discussion
Yeah,
before we
but
go.
not
I
being-
forgot to ask you. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you have anything else you'll have to meet him, and I'm
Mr.
like,
Vance, did you have
Well-
anything else you want to
I
add?
do not.
Look forward to
Okay.
meeting him.
Oh.
As soon as he's fired.
All in favor, say aye.
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 sorry.